As the voice of the private sector, we at Business Botswana believe that service excellence is an economic driver and a distinguisher, a competitive advantage that supports productivity, customer loyalty, and ultimately national growth. Our collaboration in this event underscores our shared vision to empower businesses with knowledge, networks, and the right tools to thrive in a service-driven economy. So over the next day and a half, I'd like to encourage us all to listen, engage, take part, and challenge ourselves to reimagine what great customer service actually means and what it would look like for the future of Botswana that we're trying to build. Let this convention remind us that building a culture of excellence within all of our organizations and within our nation is indeed a mission possible. And as Global Customer Service Week is celebrated during Cancer Awareness Month, I'd like to encourage us all to realize that customer excellence also encourages us to be kind, to elevate our attitude, our work ethic, to improve the customer experience. And under the global theme for this month, for Cancer Awareness Month, for those that might not know, which is very aligned with our discussions and our meetings here today, where we believe that every story is unique and every journey matters. So equally for every customer, every request, every demand is unique, and the customer experience matters just as much. I'd like to thank you all for your time and your patience, and wish you all insightful and inspiring conversations. Thank you.
Okay, level lesson like ke prepare la go dira presentation the following day. We se go ke utlwa ke lapile e be ke tshameka dilo tsa banna mo laptopong ke tsa gore banna la tlhaloganya ke the following day ga ke re ka re our laptop ya be tima bosigo e timiwa ke motlakase ke sa tima dilo tsa ano ga re ke check e tla ka bona. Good morning. Ke tsa gore ga ke tlhoke mic le ntsola ka le letone ke a utlwala ke and my name is Peter Mpete ya ka go setse go builwe maina a lapisa ke bidio a la go to Uncle P wa di standards la utlo mo go ntsintsi ya bo Peter ke tsore na tswa kae. And I don't know whether I'm going to make a presentation or to welcome you to Bob's because this is home, but you are welcome. Usually they say dogs are leashed. Here we say standards are released. So le kapedi standards mo pho. And I don't know why this thing is taking forever, but while we are there, I have a confession. I am a marketing and communications manager. Some call it communications. Baba ngwa correct about communication because communications are about telecoms mo teng. So I don't know whether I get telecoms or not, but I'm marketing and communication manager at Bob's. And and where is my presentation? So my confession goes like this. As a marketing and communication manager, I'm also responsible for training Bob staff on customer service. And when you prepare a presentation, especially to educated people like you, you fumble a lot. So I'm going to be all over the place. The topic of customer service is a very, very big one. We can take the whole year talking about customer service. But I'm going to try to drive the topic to, to marry standards with the customer service thing. Let me just go here. So, yeah, let's start again. So I'm the marketing and communications manager at Bob's. I have also my side hustles. Kenale company video hotel view tours. It's in the tourism industry. Kisa batho mena thing. go Cape Town, go Sokopo, all over go Kasane and all that. And I'm mentioning that because there's a lot of customer service issues going on in there. And the small company have been operating since 2012, and we thrive through customer service. Nothing else but customer service. Also, I'm an aspiring agripreneur, not a farmer. I'm very far from being a farmer. So I'm an aspiring agripreneur. So when we talk issues of quality or customer service, any organization, for any organization to thrive, it has to first satisfy its customers. And for you to satisfy customers, you need quality in your organization. Not only quality customer service, but quality products. So in other words, quality or standards cut across the whole organization. And that's where we are. And we'll see as I unpack my presentation. But always when I make presentations, one of the first most important thing that I always mention is for you to understand, for all of us to understand that quality is not demanded by Bobs. Quality is demanded by customers and is their right, because it's value for their money at the end of the day. So there is a myth or misunderstanding or misconception that ibile balele mo di business, and usually you say Bobs is a stumbling block because nugget related products tsaka or ke provider service yaka, all of a sudden wala Bobs say keo empatla di standards empatla di lo ereng. We are not doing it for Bobs, we are not doing it for government, we are doing it for the consumer at the end of the day. I get. But today we are talking customer service. So this is how I'm going to try to unpack this and marry the two. First of all, we will talk to why do we go into business, and then we'll talk to standards, and then customer service and standards, and then we'll talk a bit on Bob's mandate and its role, and then just a little bit on the national quality policy. Now let's start. Why do we go into business? This is a question to all of you. Why do we go into business? Re batswana re tsenela mo dikgwebo. Ke go pa ba le babedi ba le bara right. Money. O mongwe. Right. Services. Yeah. We go into business for services. Yeah. Interesting. Ke batla wa emaitso. Because there's a customer need. Yeah, your answers are interesting, and there's no wrong answer, really. But you see, this shows how our mindset is. Most of the times, 99% of the time when I go around the country and ask this question, the one answer, most answer, we go into business to make money. And that's where we're getting it wrong. It's not wrong, but that's where we're getting our footing wrong. Because once hello small allow more business then you forget a lot of fundamentals. It's the ultimate. At the end of the day, I get. But problem is we cling to that, and then we forget in you wanting money. In short, because if you are just going to go into that with that mission, then you end up because you are not going to do sebatlang, you are going to do sebatlang, which is money. So like my sister said, if how you say, what skill do I have? What is it that I'm able to do? And then you set yourself to say, and then you say, you go into business to solve some problem, and you diligently solve that problem, then money will come automatically. There is no way business and we everything right. madi a teng go re litse gore madi a teng mo bathong madi a mantsi. But why do businesses diwa mme madi a le mantsi? That is why it is very important for us to go through this kind of trainings so that we understand and unpack why. So that is one of the most important things. So customer service, I don't want to go into defining what customer service is. I think we all have an idea. And our beautiful MC, Jose Ronkwe, touched on that, basically what is customer service. Our business, he touched on that. But the issue is customer service is very, very vital. Customer service is a backbone of any organization. You can produce quality products, you can have educated staff or trained staff and all that, but how's not customer service? And why? The fundamental question is why? And it's basically because we don't produce things or we don't provide service to ourselves. These products they are not our products. Ogula bana le gare gola ne re motho ga ana le semausu go ga bona a bana le semausu re be re le ene le mabela a gagwe le tla intshwarela go dirisa magokantse a ke re batona rotle mabela a go hela go re kwa ga bone bana le shop or semausu. We all know, we have gone through that. I get forgetting that business ga se ya bone e kwa ga bone a se ya bone. Who buys is the customer. That's why I thought the customer is the key. I get. So customer service is basically that. But now, I should talk to role of standards in delivering best customer service. Role of standards. And the question is very simple. The answer is very simple. What is the role of standards in all this? Customer service, that is delivering the best service to the customer, the best experience to the customer. But then, what is the role of standards? Why should we standardize customer service? And the answer is very simple. For us to consistently ensure that we provide the best service or best experience to the customer. That is the answer in short. But we have to unpack that a bit. I get. Now, standardizing things. But I'm going to try to, because usually reverse classes in the language I'm just going to try to be as simple as possible. Standards are basically ways, or they call it benchmarks, ways of providing or making sure that we provide consistent service or quality to the customer. That's it. That's standards. A standard way of doing things so that when you handle customers, and standards, there are global standards, there are company standards. Company standards, company organization, you can come up with your customer service standards. Customer, how do you handle complaints? How do you handle suggestions? How do you handle customer feedback? Those can be some of the basic customer service standards. And also, when you set up your standards, yo mongwe ka nna re ga founela e tshwantse go rinya ga bedi bo ya rabile o mongwe a re e tshwantse go lla gararo or something like that. Those are company standards and they are very, very important. And most of the organizations or companies mo Botswana, we don't have those things, to be honest. We have them in paper, but we don't practice those. But then as organizations like Bob's national standards bodies, then we have what we call quality standards. That's a bit higher than a company standard. Those are standardized at the global customer service standards. And those are big standards because those ones, they don't only look at the interface that you have with a customer, the interaction that you have with a customer. They talk to the whole system. in your organization, they show you that the customer service does not only start with, or quality does not only start with you interacting with the customer, but it starts from the moment you come up with a business idea. That's where customer service starts from. Who are your customers? How are you going to serve them? How are you going to assist them? How are you going to make sure that they have the best service ever? And then you have systems that you are going to put in place. If you are going to produce bottled water, for example, you have those machines, you have people that you put in there, you have systems, you have processes. Those things all of those things have to talk to the customer, not to you, but to the customer. So, more Bob Serenale, what we call the quality management system standard, or they call it ISO 9001. And I encourage you guys to get hold of that standard, read the standard. I have the standard, but it's just a copy. Read the standard so that you understand it, especially if you are highly related to the organization. If you are in the customer service or customer facing environment, it's very, very imperative to read that standard. But it dictates to you to have a customer service system in place. But it makes you also, it propels you to understand and appreciate that customer service starts right from the beginning up to the end, right from the raw material up to the final product. Customer service is embedded in all these things because, like I said, this product, you are not producing them for yourselves. This service, you are not providing it to yourself, but to the customer. And then, let me skip a bit because I'm going to unpack some of these things. Let me go to national quality policy. Or maybe before that, let me talk to Bob's mandate a bit because I don't want to bore you about what Bob's is and all that. But in 1995, the government of Botswana saw it fit for as a country we have to join the quality world. Le rona re le lehatse re tswe go go poor country, la itse re ke le ra re poor country, ra tloga ra nna gate keng low level yoneo, ra nna midi gompe go ra re batla go nna upper high. I get but 1995 then the government said we are joining this this fraternity of quality assurance, and 1995 the Act of Parliament was passed for that effect, and then 1997 BOPS was born to implement the Standards Act. In other words, to make sure that we have a national standards body that is going to make sure that as a country we also are in the quality. And in 2023, fast forward, the government of Botswana again approved through Parliament what we call national quality policy. Now, the national quality policy is more than BOPS, because the national quality policy is basically saying everything that we do in Botswana should be of high quality, so that we satisfy our internal customers or consumers. We also satisfy the requirements of the international markets. We have a lot of quality authorities. You have your health, your agriculture, a lot of organizations that deal with quality in Botswana. So the national quality policy talks to that. But most importantly, in that national quality policy is the aspect of quality culture. How ya go mahateng a tlhabologile ba gaetso ga go buiwa ka quality service, quality product and all that, it's not negotiable. It's not negotiable. Top quality is either you provide quality or you are doomed. This thing ya gore how bua le customer o tshwantse go smile la customer, they mean it and they are trained to do that. How smile le customer o ntsha meno o bula bona o ka re o patelediwa gore o smile le customer me o sa batle go smile, you can end up crying. So there is the art of doing that. You don't just do it hela ka gore customer wa tsena o le ka go smile o le tso salala sentle o mantse go lapeng rabo go mantse, and then you take that thing with you to the nenyana. But to be honest with you, let's be honest, mo Botswana hela we have a long way to go in terms of customer service, in terms of training ourselves. If you go to the private sector, if you go to the public sector offices, we are very far. Customer service ga eyo, customer empathy ga eyo gotlhelele. And most of the times when I interact with or I experience bad customer service, usually I don't blame the employees. This thing starts with the owners or top management. If there is no buy-in from there, then ga gona ya ka di employees di kana tla. Ha o sa serviwa sentle go simolla go mpe go lona ba leleng ga ba etso. Ha o sa serviwa sentle go serviwa nteng. Don't fight the employees. Fight the owner. Because even if the employee is a bad tomato, why the owner and asa kgone go bona gore I have the bad tomato? And most of the times it's because we rush into business, like my brother said, to make money, and then we forget all these other important aspects. And then go hira bana ba batho, then life goes on. And then the customer, just yesterday, I took my car for a service. Somewhere gonga singi go week, and humbly I say, kolo ye ena le bothata hale ke kopa le nchekele gore bothata ke. And go go ba dira mo gotong health check mo koloi, a full health check mo go scanna koloi. But I don't want a health scan. I know where the problem is. Ke batla ba nchekela that problem ebe ba mpolella gore ke direng ebe ke ba nela business over and above service I get. And then they insist, the young lady insists gore no ga ntse yalo then gore la gore ke health check. And I tried to talk to her, la bo helwa ba nguna re ba customer re ya lapisa it. Why one? And ebe ke mra ke go pompiletse manager wa lo. First of all, hota some lady, and I can realize and I can tell her this is not the manager. In terms of customer service, because you can tell this is not the manager. And then she comes, she says exactly the same thing. And I was very humble, and inside I was boiling, but I tried to be as humble as possible. And eventually they called the manager. The first question that I asked the manager, why are you guys thieves? Because he's the manager. I would not say this to an employee, to a poor employee. Because he's the manager, I can now pour out not to him. And he was like, why are you saying that? And I said, something. And you are saying I have to do the health check. And you know what he did? He said, who told you that? That's a lie. Do you get it? Now the shift goes to the employees. But can the employees voluntarily tell you that? Can they? And then, so standards, like I said, are specifications. They say they are procedural document providing method outlining best way to achieve a result. And in this instant, we are talking about the results, we are talking about customer service. So the specifications, and why this? Most of the times we talk quality product, quality water, quality what. And the question is, who defines this quality? And where is this quality? Where can I find this quality? So this booklet is called a standard. A standard usually is just like a manual, sort of. How like a microwave you go shopping, manual, even though we never read those manuals again. But when you talk quality, the quality is defined in a standard. So this booklet is, this standard is called BOSS ISO 9001 of 2015. It's a quality management system standard. So when you go into this standard as an organization, hona le ba ba tswang ko BNPC. My sister, I know. Yeah. Hona le ba ba tswang ko Business Botswana. Ele di employees. Ko morago. So they know what a standard is. So this is basically a standard. And inside here, this booklet is not going to tell you gore go company ya gago dira dilo yang, like I said, but it will give you guidelines of what you should set up in your organization. Because imagine gore ga ne re ka nna descriptive gore re batla gore go nne jana le jana le jana le jana le jana. Organizations differ in terms of size, in terms of services, in terms of products that you produce. I get, but basically this is that. And the reason why we encourage organizations to buy the standard and also certify according to the standard is because then after that, as a certified organization, we audit you from time to time. When you audit yourself, you pass blame we the employee. I get. But when we audit you, first of all, re-audit top management commitment. Secondly, re-audit the processes. This is my processes. This is how I'm going to handle my customers. Everything is in this booklet. And standards are for all sectors. We have to clear this kind of myths because some people think Bob City Lale, big companies, water utilities and all that. Customer service, product quality, service quality is for everyone. So it's for all the organizations, it's for all the companies. And the quality management system basically is a systematic and overarching and basis. This is the basis. Like I said, it covers it all, including customer service. But then in your companies, you will have your own customer service standards. And what are the benefits of these standards? They cultivate the quality culture. I've already talked to that. Once you have standards in your organization, once you have quality standards in your organization or company, then you'd one or the other cultivate the quality culture, because then all of your employees will understand why the customer is important, will understand time and again, we don't work for the government, we work for the customer. All of us, not only the marketing team, but all of us, we work for the customer. So that is the quality culture. And it also facilitates and cut across sales, customer service and operations, like I said. So those are some of the things that we should note. So customer service standards in organizations are very generic. Like we talk about phone etiquette, complaints, feedback, turnaround times, and all that. And then the ISO 9001, we also have other standards that talk. There are a lot of standards about to customer service. The main ones are ISO 9001 and ISO 23592. Basically, get service. Let's get the code is about 9001 and what those things, they don't make sense. Code is but ISO 9001 is quality management system, and then the other one is about service excellence, and we have quite a lot of them, but the main one, like I said, is the ISO 9001. And then also let's all understand that the quality service or quality customer service is a branding issue. Another thing that I want to unpack, usually when you talk branding, people think all these billboards and banners and your logos and all that. Branding is much more than that. A brand is a totality of different aspects of business. Your organizational culture, your staff behavior, the environment, all of this at the end of the day, they form, including your logos and all this, at the end of the day, that is the branding. And customer service is one of the most important aspects of your branding, because most of the times hare dira di business, hare simolla di business, ke tla bo ke dira club view tours, join the fun club, yo mongwe motswedi PTY Ltd, enjoy your games, yo mongwe what we care, yo mongwe re dirisa mahoko hela mantsintsi agere just the way re batla go branda ka teng gore ba itse gore we are number 1, we care, we are second best, and all those things I get, but we don't live those things. That is why at the end of the day a business can be called all these things, and I like the beautiful colors. Sometimes they say your colors are not beautiful and all that, but at the end of the day you can have all those beautiful things. If your customer service, if the way you provided the customer experience to the customer is not top notch, then you are as good as Osa survive. I talked about certification, and the reason why it's very important to certify your organizations or your companies more quality management system is because they help you identify areas of improvement in your organization from time to time consistently. The non-conformities is basically what is it that you are not doing right, that we have agreed that you are going to do right. And then there's also continual improvement, continual quality improvement, and all those things, because you will have procedures in place. Once you certify or once you follow what is in the standard, even when you are not certified, you are going to have all those things in place, and they are going to help you deliver top quality customer service. Mobobsi, we also have training in those courses. They are short-term courses, a week-long courses, but very, very powerful and very impactful courses on quality management systems in different areas. We have environmental, occupational health, dijo, and all that, and the generic ones. Now, why is all these things that we have talked about, why is it important? When you have quality management system in place, you are going to reduce mistakes. If I can give you an example, like the products, most of the organizations or most of the companies, they will produce products with a lot of defects, and that is because you don't have a system in place to identify and pick those defects, and those defects are very costly. Waste reduction, I'll give you a very quick example. A few weeks ago I was at some exhibition, and there were these ladies relaying this dishwashing soaps, detergents. It's a metsi and all that. Which one is quality? Okay, let me ask you another question. I said a simple one, the tena. Bricks. How do you tell whether this brick a quality or high quality?
A simple test before.
And then how sitaganya?
Formulation is wrong.
Has it to be?
That's not to be wrong for the use better quality.
And the scientists, you know, the nice thing about quality is very scientific. Yeah. The experts will tell you what has the necessary to be is poor quality. Has it to be poor quality? There are measurements, because by the has to be how building it we have to be able to be building. So that's what they say. I'm not an expert in that. So they say, and it makes sense. So that is why standard and all those things. And how do you test and what should test give you again. But you can imagine has to be, it means most of the times it means would receive cement assessments, because cement agrees the binding thing. So how to receive cement assessments would relay poor quality cement is a tool. Cement is a tool. So you can imagine and then you did not follow the standards. And then increased efficiency, of course, cost reduction, I talked about that. And then you become competitive also. When you are certified, you become competitive, because I'll show you our marks of quality. Once you have that the mark of quality, your product talks for itself. Look at this. When you talk diamonds, a diamond talks for itself. It doesn't even need a mark. But for products, they don't talk for themselves. You can hire the best of bompete that you can have. Both are wise. They will decorate and baboke that to your product as much as they can. But to a consumer, to a customer, the most painful thing is once he buys that product, they will kill you to dira sengwe le sengwe reng o kilo ya go renkeng wa utwa bo re ba le ba boka di pizza tse ba sa di dirang ba boka di atike di pie and all those things. Mama ne ga we reka khumo yotlhe ya tla mo lopela go bana ba go batla tsena sekolo hotle all those funny stories. So what's our why but then once you buy the product, when I product they are no la go bua le two go sena o buelelang product. I was once invited by another organization. I'm not going to talk to say the name. And when I get there, they say, Rempet, you can tell. We don't know why Lonalele Bob say, why are you stumbling blocks to our clients? The clients are business people. And they had they made a very nice basket. Then they put products from all these business people. They put it in the basket, and then they gave it to me as a present. And one of the products that I liked or loved in that basket, I love charcoal products. So no when I lay a bath soap, it is like a charcoal, and I was very happy. I get home, dibokilwe, and then I get into the water. It's me and the bath soap. 2 minutes, my friend disappeared. 2 minutes, like I'm not exaggerating. The only thing that I was left with was black water. At least the water is at least my complexion. So black like me. So you can imagine those kind of things. So, but once you certify your products or your service, then you become competitive. And then when you are competitive, the product talks for itself, and then the revenue grows. And then you expand your opportunities. You employ more people, of course, which is our government wants. And then the economy becomes resilient. I don't know. I don't know whether it's resilient or not, or it's ailing, but we all know that we are towards ICU. So this basically is how we can all contribute to. Jose talked about the president. We should all be agile. We should all be helpful. We should all be empathetic when we help people. And once we get this kind of trainings, we have to be different. Now, top management commitment, I talked about this thing. This is very, very important. And I think that is why your bosses, or if you are a boss, this kind of training is because this thing is very, very important. Now, I talked about the quality marks. Mobobs, we have what we call the diamond mark. This diamond mark is a very expensive mark. This diamond mark, this diamond mark is very, very, and that is why we deliberately went for diamond, because diamond is very expensive. It's a top quality thing. So this is our mark, but these are our specific marks. I don't want to bore you with this, but I'm going to share with you my number at the end of the day, so that if you need to know more about this, or if you want to see this more, then I can share with you. But we have products that are reforceable in Japan. Quality assurance at the end of the day is not mandatory. I don't know a certified product there. It's encouraged. That's why quality is not demanded by BOPs. But who forces you to certify or to have a quality product is the market. Not me as BOPs, is the market. But there are several products, there's a list of products and it keeps on growing that we regulate. These ones we regulate because they have health implications, they have safety implications to people, animals, and the environment. Those ones we enforce. So once your product, and for example, is the bottled water. Nef-Aid. And how he got Nef-Aid? Nef-Aid. How he got Nef-Aid and a mark because we have started a mark. That mark approved. So we are starting to go through it slowly. So a mark. It's easy. We are now in Nef-Aid. You are not going to put that mark. That mark can only be inserted by your supplier, your mates. I get so that when you take your brand into them, make sure that these things are there. And then once the product is certified, is that mark at the far left. It will be the diamond mark, the license number, and then the standard, and then it will be written certified at the top. And then we have also introduced what we call best certification. I'm quickly rushing through them because we are talking customer service, but this is part of it. Best certified is when you only certify a batch. High-low bottled water, also certify the whole process, the whole organization, or certify that just that Nef-Aid 10,000. You just certify that batch, and then you and it's valid for some time. It's the best certification. And then if it's a management system, the ISO 9001 that I talked about, then you have that particular secular mark. And the common thing in all of them, you realize the diamond mark. And then as I go towards the end, we say when in doubt about quality of a product or service, and we are saying this deliberately because the Botswana, you are our food soldiers, really BOPs. Retswana le mapodisi. Rotle ha re eletsa gore mongwe le mongwe a rona ba eletsa gore ka bere ha tsa manteng a ba bapile le security le hape le gagwe le podisi le ha le sole le ha ba mo katile for their safety so that ga ba dira gallo ke sepager. So but we know that resources do not permit. So Lorona, we are not able to be all around the country at the same time. So especially for regulated products, we appeal with you how we product siama. Like last week or 2 weeks ago, I was talking a lot about megala ya motlakase e leng gore ga ya siama e leng gore teng re tsentse mo mathate gona, and is one of regulated products. And a majority of you batswana le rekile megala tele hisa mantlu ka yona. If you want to know more, you will talk to me at the end of the day. So those are our contact details. We are on Facebook every Tuesday and Thursday. We are airing on Facebook our videos to educate the public more. So if you go into our Facebook page, you get a lot of information there. We are also on Twitter, Instagram, and most importantly, we are in YouTube. More YouTube, what you call a podcast. Podcast and we produce videos, a lot of videos, a lot of content, and we post those in more YouTube. So if you go into YouTube, you will find a lot of those. And then Uncle P's number 7211 8244 7211 8244, and it's also on WhatsApp, and I prefer WhatsApp. Right? Can you anytime or we communicate at any time up to 12 o'clock with you. 12 o'clock ke motho motona 12 o'clock ke abekile go lowa yana. So I don't entertain calls and all that beyond that time. And then we are also Mobo Radio Botswana, BTV, we are always there. trying to spread the word of quality. Ke a leboga bagaetsho. I hope I did not fumble a lot, like I thought.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mpete. Let's give him another round of applause, please. Oh, yes, Mr. Mpete, tsamela ka kwa notlhe mongami. Re go tshwaretse sengwenyana. Tata sa go tlhokwa. Mesindiso from Business Botswana go tshwaretse mpho. Ra lebogela thata go menagane. All right. Beautiful.
Should I declare?
So I guess from here we will learn more about all of that branding. We'll learn more about marketing. We'll learn more about making sure that we give our customers the best services always, so that our businesses and also as the years the trends so we always have to keep up with those trends and making sure so somebody there's the Nokia company it's no longer in the market. What happened? They didn't manage to keep up with the trends. They didn't manage to make sure in that company. So some of the scenarios we can learn from them and make sure that as a company you keep up with the trends and make sure all right, with that being said, let me kindly ask Mildred Sinkala to come and also give us a presentation on the organization culture and leadership tailored for customer service. Let's give you another round of applause, please.
But we are talking about customer service, and I liked the question we says, why do we go into business? And like my brother here, I was one of them saying profit, because I'm a financial person by heart, so I just look for money. That's all I look for is money. But at the end of the day, that money cannot happen unless we have satisfied the customer. That's when that profit will come through. So I'm going to be breaking down building a customer service culture, where the question is why service is everyone's job in the company. My name is already introduced, but you can also see it there. I want to start by an opening remark which says the customer service is not just a department. Customer service is not just a department. It is actually culture that everyone from top management, cascading down, must be able to understand. Because the profits that we are looking for or the money that we want to make must come from that customer. I liked his scenario when he said his car was not serviced, or he had gone to ask for service and somebody else is adding other things to that request, and he does not talk to that person, but he says, bring me your manager. Because when we talk building a customer service, we are saying we need to talk to somebody who is in top of all that. So when you look at organization culture, we are saying the culture is visible through a number of related avenues. And one of the related avenues that they were talking about was standards. And standards speak about culture as well. Because when we talk standards, we are saying everybody must incorporate that in the process. And we are incorporating them not just for us, but for who? For the customer to be happy. So when we talk culture, we are talking about beliefs. What do we believe as an organization? Is our customer a top priority as a belief? Or the customer is simply somebody that just brings us in money and we are done, let them go. So how do we value them? How do we think about them? Does everybody understand why we believe our customer is top priority? It's interesting that sometimes we go into organizations and we ask the security guard just at the gate, and the security guard has nothing to understand what's going on. You say, I'm here, is this Bob's? And he says, I don't know. I don't know if you have encountered that, but I have. And it's because we have not taught him the belief of this importance of anybody who comes to ask at the gate. We get to the receptionist, he was talking about smiling. The receptionist can't even smile because he has brought everything from home and he has forgotten the belief that we are what? We have come to service people. Behavior, I've included it in the smile. Our behavior, how we answer. Sometimes we are in a digital world, even in the tone of our emails to customers. You can pick the tone just from an email that, somebody is fighting here. Our rituals, what is it that we have brought into our culture that is focusing on a customer? What are things that we bring in? Our language. You know, sometimes we talk and we think everybody is concentrating only on the language of our speech, but our body language speaks a lot. If you get in a room, the best thing you do is scan around the body language and then you know whether to open your mouth or not. Symbols that we have, do people understand them? Do they represent what we are? If we have a symbol that it says in pursuit of excellence for service, when we put that symbol, do people actually pick it as our attitude? Because at the end of the day, that culture will become visible through those avenues. And those avenues will communicate what we are saying and what we are standing for. Now, what is customer service culture? It means total involvement. We are saying every member must be involved. Every member must be involved. This is a culture which every employee, from not just the frontliner, must be involved. If they are not, including the one that cleans the floor, then we are in trouble. Sometimes we work in organizations and you're so scared with the person that is cleaning the floor, can't even speak to you. When you ask, can I pass this? I says, just stand there. You ask yourself whether should I go back or not and come back later. So we need to cultivate a culture that has total member involvement. And that starts from the top. They're the ones who can bring in that. If the top doesn't do that, we are shooting ourselves in the foot. Because somebody else will say, I am not told to do that. We need to be consistent in that. When we create that customer service and we put it, we must be consistent. It's not just for customer service. Everybody from finance. You know, the marketing person who will sell the product. And then the accountant will go in so rudely to correct the man. I know what I'm talking about. I'm a finance person. There's no empathy in our tone. But yet, this is the same customer we are expecting to come back to the marketing department and get the product. But we have not at all involved those people. We've not involved HR. HR should be part of it because they're the ones that should bring induction and training in that customer service culture, but we've not involved them. And then we start looking at top management that is not setting the tone. Because when complaints have been brought in, Uncle P was saying he took a complaint to top management. And what was the response? He shifted the blame. And what do? We hide behind the finger to put Masinkala in front. And when they go, then the top manager comes to me and says, just forget that customer is problematic. When he tells me forget that customer is problematic, what has he created? A culture that we don't respond to customers' needs. So we have failed to put in that culture that we need to shape ourselves, and everybody must do the service. Because top manager is the one who has told me, forget that customer, is a problem. But he didn't ask me what was wrong with the customer. How can we address his needs? How do we meet them at their point of need? And that becomes a problem. Why customer service matters? We are talking about profits. We're talking about everything we have been saying. I want to read a quotation here from one of my favorite writers in management. He says, Peter Drucker says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Close quotation. Meaning, without the right culture, your strategy will fail. Now, whatever strategy we do in the organization, at the end of it, it must get to where? To the customer. And that's why the customer service is important. Because if we don't have a customer service, every strategy we are doing, whether to be competitive, whether to do what, the bottom line is we are creating wealth for the company. We are creating shareholders' wealth. We are creating our profitability. But if we do not have a culture that eats the strategy, which is customer service, then we are not getting anywhere. So it's important that we remember that people remember feelings more than the product they purchase. When I get in a place and I don't feel welcome, even if the product is good, I'm just getting the product to rush out. And once I rush out, I'm going to tell my next best friend, my next colleague, don't go to that company, they've got a bad service. So because I'm remembering what? The feeling I got. And sometimes we may argue to say, no, there's no feelings because she came to buy water. But I was getting water. How was your service? How was your countenance with me? How did the top manager that walked through the door behave? How did the security guard at the beginning of the gate behave? So you'll find that your great service will bring in loyalty. Great service will bring in repetitively purchases. And you know, a customer that is satisfied, we introduce somebody else to come in. Women here are going to ascertain to what I'm about to say. We like going to salons and do our hair, isn't it? And everybody will ask you, who did your hair? And because they've done it well and you were impressed, you give them the number. But if you are not impressed, I'm going to say, don't go there. Don't even try it. Their towels are dirty and all that and that and that. Why? Because the service is good, I'll go back to purchase. Positive word of a mouth comes from the customer that has experienced it. If you didn't experience a good experience, I will not give you a positive feedback. And this is something we need to promote from top coming down. Companies that I've put there with a disclaimer are one of my favorite companies. They might not be yours. I don't know what your experience is, but they are pushing things through culture. And this is a culture that they've pushed from up to down. So I want to ask you from where you're coming, what culture are you promoting in terms of having the customer service at the back of your mind? Because it's very, very important. Trust and loyalty is what the customer is looking for. They're looking for trust and loyalty. Customer service culture must build that trust. He was talking about standards. Standards must be put in every process we are doing. And sometimes we want to think standards cannot put in a service because a service is a product. When we go and get a service of tea, for instance, or a sandwich, before I eat the sandwich, there is already something I'm looking at in the environment, isn't it? Is this a clean environment before I come out with that sandwich? Those are standards on how you clean around that are put in the process. So you need to ask yourself a question, because loyal customers will come back over and over to Spain. But when we don't bring in that loyalty to a customer, I'm not returning back. And a customer that you have already have and that returns saves you more times, because to look for a new customer, you're spending 5 to 7 times of advertising so that you penetrate. I'm not saying don't advertise, but I'm saying you have a customer that will go and give an advert on your behalf, because they'll speak from the loyalty and the trust they've obtained from what? From your company. And you build loyalty with them to remain and to stay. But when we don't bring in that in our culture, and I mean it from the top to the person at the gate, then we are in trouble. We will be speaking profits, but we will not hit the bottom line. We'll be speaking quality, but nobody will appreciate that quality, because quality will not be remembered that much. Competitive advantage. The reason we are in business is we want to be the ones running the show. And if we are pushing our strategy to say, I'm going to stand out as number one, the best thing we can do in our culture is that in the culture, customer service should have been there. Because you to obtain the competitive culture, you can see the one with the circle is in front. The reason is only in front is because his brand, which we talked about with Uncle P there, I'll keep on calling him Uncle P. He was saying brand is not just these things we are seeing around, is what you have done in your processes, is how you make your customer feel when they leave the premises. And when you have done that, then you are able to get into a place where you compete. One product can be imitated. We may create the trademarks, the patents, and all that, but surely somebody will imitate your product. The prices can be matched. We can get into price wars. Somebody hikes by 2 pula, I drop by 50 tebe, just like that, until we get to a match. But exceptional service is very hard to repackage. Exceptional service will create a brand that is strong. Exceptional service will create a service that is consistent, and you've got to be consistent. You cannot, today you are high in your customer service, and tomorrow you've dropped down. This is why we are having a challenge now. We want to replace the front office with robots, isn't it? Because they have no feelings, no emotions. You will not find them in a mood when you come. They'll still just say, hello, how are you? So we want to create that. We want to create a service that is consistent, because once you create a service that is consistent, you start ranking higher. And you rank every time high because you are not dropping the ball. But the moment we drop the ball, then we are not consistent. Whether we come up with a product that cannot be imitated, somebody else will say, I'll get satisfaction by getting an imitation. And then they will be okay. Employment or employee engagement. Every employee must be engaged in this culture, and they must feel valued. SMEs, I'm talking to you. I love SMEs because I think we drive the economy, but we are failing to get it right sometimes. And one of the reasons is coming from a culture. We have employees that are disgruntled, and then we are saying, go and save people. How can an employee that is disgruntled, who is not feeling valued, be empowered to serve? So you can say that culture now is everything in it. Because once we have training, we have induction, we support our employees, and they know what they are doing, we have happy employees that will make happy customers. We have security guards, we have frontline people, we have cleaners that we have not empowered. We don't even call in to explain what we are doing. We might have not to give them the strategy, but we can explain what the company is about, what is expected of service from them. Because once they understand, sometimes they get frustrated because they are not trained, they are not inducted, so they don't understand what they are communicating. So it's very important that we have happy employees for us to have that. Consistency across the touch points. What am I talking about? Customer interaction. Customer interaction by everyone in the department, not just frontliners. Again, I'm going to attack my people, finance people. We are not just there to collect money. We are just not there to push that money. We must be also brought into that consistency. How do you approach when you collect your money? HR, how do you interact? You may think I'm just dealing with employees, but how are you training those employees to deal with the same customers? A strong service culture in boards, emails. I'm talking about the tone in the email to a customer. I'm talking about the tone in the email to our networks that we are involved in, because we are getting from a supplier to take to a customer. Because we are building that quality with the supplier. It's a network, isn't it? If we frustrate a supplier, then he gives us a less standard, isn't it? And that standard ends up in the hands of who? Of the customer. So it's key that we are consistent, we create that. Our face-to-face instruction, our experience, we are in a digital platform. The other day on one of these social medias, I won't mention the bank, I encountered a lady that was shouting and insulting this bank. I think she's outside the country, then somehow our card failed, somehow our online banking failed, and was trying to get hold of the relationship manager who was not picking, who was not speaking to her. Eventually somebody responds to her and tells her, take out the app from your phone and reinstall it. But we know when you take off your app and reinstall, you now need to go into the bank for them to synchronize it. So now she's even more frustrated. So she now gets on this social media and rants and rants and rants. I'm talking about digital platforms that we are using, isn't it? We get on there, we find this person on the end, I don't know whether she's a female or male, says chat to me, and this person says I can't answer your question. But there is no email it goes to for somebody to deal with me. Culture, even in the digital platform. Eventually, after talking so much on social media and we all go and comment, then she comes back 2 days later and says the bank followed up on her. Did they need to have that reputation? No. Somebody needed to deal with it. Bad experience, preventing bad experience, we need to deal with it. Why do we have to have a customer come back to complain? And when they do complain, then we say, these are problematic customers. That's the first view, isn't it? We don't take and see, did we deal with them fairly? And if we did, how did we help? When there is a complaint, we get into these organizations that have a suggestion box, a complaint box at the corner. I don't know who reads those things, if they ever read them, because the complaints have been put in the box at suggestions. We are carrying or getting data that we are not even utilizing. But we need to have those as touch points for experience. Handling our complaints and feedback, how do we handle them? A strong culture will always view a complaint as an opportunity starting place. It becomes an opportunity for you to improve, becomes an opportunity for innovation and learning. We are supposed to be a learning organization, and we can only learn through who? Our customers. We can't learn within ourselves. It's through the complaints. But most of the time when a complaint is brought in, we don't look at it as a positive feedback. We actually look at it as an attack, because we've created a culture that has not taught our people to say we are a learning organization. So we need to be innovative through just the complaints and see, are we able to call that customer and say, look, this is what you've complained about. Can we go an extra mile, deal with this issue, and we'll also handle it in this month. Maybe for the next 3 months, come in and give us feedback. But we actually are able to attack the very customer and say you are giving us bad publicity. Culture that encourages an active listening and empathy. The previous speakers talked about empathy for the customer. Empathy and sympathy are two different things. We need to learn to put ourselves in the shoes of our customers. How are they feeling? Because when we put ourselves in the shoes, like the lady that was complaining about this bank, if a relation manager could understand and put himself or herself in her shoes, she's outside the country, how is she surviving? He was going to be speedily in helping her, swift in finding a solution. But because we don't empathize, we normally sympathize. We never get into the shoes of our customers and try to resolve the issue. A dissatisfied customer cannot be an ambassador for you. He cannot. And we all know what ambassadors are, isn't it? When our president here sends us ambassadors everywhere, they're representing who? They're representing us. They're representing Botswana. So when you have a dissatisfied customer, do you think he's going to represent you? To do what the bottom line is, we are creating wealth for the company. We are creating shareholders' wealth. We are creating our profitability. But if we do not have a culture that eats the strategy, which is customer service, then we are not getting anywhere. So it's important that we remember that people remember feelings more than the product they purchase. When I get in a place and I don't feel welcome, even if the product is good, I'm just getting the product to rush out. And once I rush out, I'm going to tell my next best friend, my next colleague, don't go to that company, they've got a bad service. So because I'm remembering what? The feeling I got. And sometimes we may argue to say, no, there's no feelings because she came to buy water. But I was getting water. How was your service? How was your countenance with me? How did the top manager that walked through the door behave? How did the security guard at the beginning of the gate behave? So you'll find that your great service will bring in loyalty. Great service will bring in repetitively purchases. And you know, a customer that is satisfied, we introduce somebody else to come in. Women here are going to ascertain to what I'm about to say. We like going to salons and do our hair, isn't it? And everybody will ask you, who did your hair? And because they've done it well and you were impressed, you will give them the number. But if you are not impressed, I'm going to say, don't go there. Don't even try it. Their towels are dirty and all that and that and that. Why? Because the service is good, I'll go back to purchase. Positive word of a mouth comes from the customer that has experienced it. If you didn't experience a good experience, I will not give you a positive feedback. And this is something we need to promote from top coming down. Companies that I've put there with a disclaimer are one of my favorite companies. They might not be yours. I don't know what your experience is, but they are pushing things through culture. And this is a culture that they've pushed from up to down. So I want to ask you from where you're coming, what culture are you promoting in terms of having the customer service at the back of your mind? Because it's very, very important. Trust and loyalty is what the customer is looking for. They're looking for trust and loyalty. Customer service culture must build that trust. He was talking about standards. Standards must be put in every process we are doing. And sometimes we want to think standards cannot put in a service because a service is a product. When we go and get a service of tea, for instance, or a sandwich, before I eat the sandwich, there is already something I'm looking at in the environment, isn't it? Is this a clean environment before I come out with that sandwich? Those are standards on how you clean around that are put in the process. So you need to ask yourself a question, because loyal customers will come back over and over to spend. But when we don't bring in that loyalty to a customer, I'm not returning back. And a customer that you have already have and that returns saves you more times, because to look for a new customer, you're spending 5 to 7 times of advertising so that you penetrate. I'm not saying don't advertise, but I'm saying you have a customer that will go and give an advert on your behalf, because they'll speak from the loyalty and the trust they've obtained from what? From your company. And you build loyalty with them to remain and to stay. But when we don't bring in that in our culture, and I mean it from the top to the person at the gate, then we are in trouble. We will be speaking profits, but we will not hit the bottom line. We'll be speaking quality, but nobody will appreciate that quality, because quality will not be remembered that much. Competitive advantage. The reason we are in business is we want to be the ones running the show. And if we are pushing our strategy to say, I'm going to stand out as number one, the best thing we can do in our culture is that in the culture, customer service should have been there. Because you to obtain the competitive culture, you can see the one with the circle is in front. The reason he's only in front is because his brand, which we talked about with Uncle P there, I'll keep on calling him Uncle P. He was saying brand is not just these things we are seeing around, is what you have done in your processes, is how you make your customer feel when they leave the premises. And when you have done that, then you are able to get into a place where you compete. One, products can be imitated. We may create the trademarks, the patents, and all that, but surely somebody will imitate your product. The prices can be matched. We can get into price wars. Somebody hikes by 2 pula, I drop by 50 tebe, just like that, until we get to a match. But exceptional service is very hard to repackage. Exceptional service will create a brand that is strong. Exceptional service will create a service that is consistent. And you've got to be consistent. You cannot, today you are high in your customer service, and tomorrow you've dropped down. This is why we are having a challenge now. We want to replace the front office with robots, isn't it? Because they have no feelings, no emotions. You will not find them in a mood when you come. They'll still just say, hello, how are you? So we want to create that. We want to create a service that is consistent, because once you create a service that is consistent, you start ranking higher. And you rank every time high because you are not dropping the ball. But the moment we drop the ball, then we are not consistent. Whether we come up with a product that cannot be imitated, somebody else will say, I'll get satisfaction by getting an imitation. And then they will be okay. Employment or employee engagement. Every employee must be engaged in this culture, and they must feel valued. SMEs, I'm talking to you. I love SMEs because I think we drive the economy, but we are failing to get it right sometimes. And one of the reasons is coming from a culture. We have employees that are disgruntled, and then we are saying, go and save people. How can an employee that is disgruntled, who is not feeling valued, be empowered to serve? So you can say that culture now is everything in it. Because once we have training, we have induction, we support our employees and they know what they are doing, we have happy employees that will make happy customers. We have security guards, we have frontline people, we have cleaners that we have not empowered. We don't even call in to explain what we are doing. We might have not to give them the strategy, but we can explain what the company is about, what is expected of service from them. Because once they understand, sometimes they get frustrated because they are not trained, they are not inducted, so they don't understand what they are communicating. So it's very important that we have happy employees for us to have that. Consistency across the touch points. What am I talking about? Customer interaction. Customer interaction by everyone in the department, not just frontliners. Again, I'm going to attack my people, finance people. We are not just there to collect money. We are just not there to push that money. We must be also brought in into that consistency. How do you approach when you collect your money? HR, how do you interact? You may think I'm just dealing with employees, but how are you training those employees to deal with the same customers? A strong service culture in boards, emails. I'm talking about the tone in the email to a customer. I'm talking about the tone in the email to our networks that we are involved in, because we are getting from a supplier to take to a customer. Because we are building that quality with the supplier. It's a network, isn't it? If we frustrate a supplier, then he gives us a less standard, isn't it? And that standard ends up in the hands of who? Of the customer. So it's key that we are consistent, we create that. Our face-to-face instruction, our experience, we are in a digital platform. The other day on one of these social medias, I won't mention the bank, I encountered a lady that was shouting and insulting this bank. I think she's outside the country, then somehow our card failed, somehow our online banking failed, and was trying to get hold of the relationship manager who was not picking, who was not speaking to her. Eventually somebody responds to her and tells her, take out the app from your phone and reinstall it. But we know when you take off your app and reinstall, you now need to go into the bank for them to synchronize it. So now she's even more frustrated. So she now gets on this social media and rants and rants and rants. I'm talking about digital platforms that we are using, isn't it? We get on there, we find this person on the end, I don't know whether she's a female or male, says chat to me, and this person says I can't answer your question. But there is no email it goes to for somebody to deal with me. Culture, even in the digital platform. Eventually, after talking so much on social media and we all go and comment, then she comes back 2 days later and says the bank followed up on her. Did they need to have that reputation? No. Somebody needed to deal with it. Bad experience, preventing bad experience, we need to deal with it. Why do we have to have a customer come back to complain? And when they do complain, then we say, these are problematic customers. That's the first view, isn't it? We don't take and see, did we deal with them fairly? And if we did, how did we help? When there is a complaint, we get into these organizations that have a suggestion box, a complaint box at the corner. I don't know who reads those things, if they ever read them, because the complaints have been put in the box at suggestions. We are carrying or getting data that we are not even utilizing. But we need to have those as touch points for experience. Handling our complaints and feedback, how do we handle them? A strong culture will always view a complaint as an opportunity starting place. It becomes an opportunity for you to improve, becomes an opportunity for innovation and learning. We are supposed to be a learning organization, and we can only learn through who? Our customers. We can't learn within ourselves. It's through the complaints. But most of the time when a complaint is brought in, we don't look at it as a positive feedback. We actually look at it as an attack, because we've created a culture that has not taught our people to say we are a learning organization. So we need to be innovative through just the complaints and see, are we able to call that customer and say, look, this is what you've complained about. Can we go an extra mile, deal with this issue, and we'll also handle it in this month. Maybe for the next 3 months, come in and give us feedback. But we actually are able to attack the very customer and say you are giving us bad publicity. Culture that encourages an active listening and empathy. The previous speakers talked about empathy for the customer. Empathy and sympathy are two different things. We need to learn to put ourselves in the shoes of our customers. How are they feeling? Because when we put ourselves in the shoes, like the lady that was complaining about this bank, if a relation manager could understand and put himself or herself in her shoes, she's outside the country, how is she surviving? He was going to be speedily in helping her, swift in finding a solution. But because we don't empathize, we normally sympathize. We never get into the shoes of our customers and try to resolve the issue. A dissatisfied customer cannot be an ambassador for you. It cannot. And we all know what ambassadors are, isn't it? When our president here sends us ambassadors everywhere, they're representing who? They're representing us. They're representing Botswana. So when you have a dissatisfied customer, do you think he's going to represent you? It will not. But we create, by us taking those feedbacks, those complaints, when we turn them into positive, we create ambassadors for us. So who actually go and say, when you put in your complaint, that company takes you seriously. They are actually intentional to resolve your problems. It's very, very important. Long-term growth and reputation. When we build this culture, we are building a culture that now brings the wealth that we are talking about and profitability that is turned into what? Long-term. And the growth of the company, because the impact is that you create a reputation for yourself. And then you are known by that reputation. When you are known by that reputation, you can sell anything. Because the customers know who you are, how your service is, how they feel, and you strengthen yourself through just what you are doing. It's important to have reviews. I'm one of them that likes reviewing hotels when I'm traveling. I like reading those reviews because these are people who are not employed by them. So they will tell you if they are dirty, if they don't change sheets, if they don't do what. So it's important that we also bring in reviews. We look at reviews, whether from a digital point of view, whether from ourselves. And we should be very open with our own reviews. We shouldn't sugarcoat ourselves, but we should lead those reviews to understand our customer experience and then turn them into something positive. So your company should be a learning company that is building something that is reputable and long-lasting. It's very important. We should create positivity in everything. It doesn't matter what the customer complained about. Even if they give you a positive feedback, you must be able to ask yourself a question, how do I build on this positive? Positive feedback doesn't mean just stay back. See how you can improve. Everything has got a room of improvement so that you get a reputation and you move on to that. How do we build this culture then? One, leadership. Top management. Leadership models the behavior they want to see. If you are coming in as a manager here or as a supervisor, it is your commandment to navigate that leadership. Because if I create a leadership that is not telling truth to a customer, what have I taught my subordinates? Lying is okay. It creates us to escape from this. So it's leadership that should model that behavior. It's leadership that should be able to bring it. It's something that we should preach day in even in our general meetings. Unfortunately, most of us don't even have meetings that we call it. It should be in the culture. When we call that meeting, talk about why a customer is important. When you look at our friends in transportation, the combis, hey, everywhere you go, it's like they were born from the same mother. And you ask yourself, what is it? I don't know if the owners of that transportation have meetings with them. So we model that behavior, training and recognizing service excellence. We are here, customer service, and we are saying what? What's the theme?
Mission possible.
Mission possible. How can that mission be possible if we are not training and recognizing? If we are not recognizing excellence from our employees, because if we bring it in to recognize which employee is giving that excellent service, nobody will be motivated to move a notch. But if we do that, people will stand up and will move and will begin to be moving towards something good. Empower the employees to make a customer-focused decision. Can the employee himself from the receptionist be able to make that decision? Even our security guards from the gate to say, let me take you. By the way, I had a good experience today. I passed this place and went that side, but the security guard I got just took me by hand. He says, let me take you. That was excellent. Because we need to empower them. But it starts from top management. Sometimes they want to do the right thing. They will say, why are you moving up and down? We talk to them like we are talking to a child.
Round of applause, please. Oh yes, what a beautiful, beautiful presentation indeed. And I believe we are all in agreement with what she said, that we must build a beautiful culture in our organizations. Make sure that we have this culture of making sure that all the time we produce nothing but the excellent services to our customers, and making sure that there is trust and loyalty within your organization, making sure that your customers can trust you for the products that you're offering. Yes, I loved the example that she gave about us ladies. So when they went, no, these are the dance. Check out to come in molo I get it. Nelo yo but I'm la man musaro to you hell so yes, it's very important that as a business what's there's loyalty in you. Your customers are always satisfied. The products, the service, they're always happy, they're always and say, you know what, I'm gonna come back, and of course I'm gonna tell my sisters and brothers to come to your company and get this beautiful services. So thank you so much, Ms. Nkala. That was a beautiful, beautiful presentation indeed. All right, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be continuing with the program. Oh no, yes, at this beautiful point in time, we'll be breaking for our tea break. And immediately after the tea break, we'll get a beautiful presentation from Dr. Botni Mulusiwa, giving us a presentation on breaking the stigma, creating safe spaces for mental health conversations at work. And immediately after his presentation, I'll give you the platform to ask your questions, if you have any comments. And yes, even from this beautiful presentation from Uncle Mpete, Uncle P, as well as Ms. Nkala. If you have any questions, I will give you the platform to kindly do so. All right, with that being said, I hope my service is good. Yes, I hope it's excellent. It's top notch. Yes, yes. All right. Oh, give me a round of applause. Oh. Yes, thank you so very much, my beautiful people. Yes, you are a lovely, lovely audience indeed, and I'm looking forward to continue being with you throughout this beautiful day. And with that being said, me Pasimo, Akizoro me Hakai. All right, Cindy Swa. All right, I guess they're already, yes, just here. All right, now we'll be breaking for our tea break, and let's make sure that we take exactly 30 minutes and make sure that at 11 a.m. we are back here. Oh, okay, yes, there's Cindy Swa. Hey, yes, let's make sure that 11 a.m. we are back here to continue with the program, and yes, so we catch up with time, so that oh yes, before that, Messi Gala kindly come this side. Hey, every speaker today is wonderful. This is the best service I've ever seen. Every speaker is given a present. Wow, this is beautiful. Oh, thank you so much, Ms. Cindy Swa. And thank you, Ms. Nkala. Wow, this is the best. I've never seen an event where every speaker, whenever he finishes, they're given a package. Wow, this is beautiful. All right, so like I've mentioned, we'll be breaking for, Cindy Swa, we'll be breaking for the tea break. I get it. Yes, so we go in that side. All right. So we have a door here. You just, we'll be using this door. And also for the restrooms, immediately when you go out with this door, there's left 10, yeah? Within that left 10, straight, for you. They're just nearby here. So yes, all right, let's meet after the break. Thank you so much. Let's network, let's talk business, let's see how we improve our services in our various organizations, and yeah, have a lovely, lovely tea break. Thank you. Sure. Yay. Your stick. Yes. Oh, sorry. Oh. Thank you.
Vital, whether negative or positive. So many a times we find ourselves, customers giving us feedback, and PR wants that post to be taken off immediately. So how do you strike that balance? And I also have a comment, not a question, just in addition to what Mayor Singala said about feedback. Closing the loop on feedback is quite important, and I feel like just hearing the customer is not enough. Telling them that we heard you and this is what we're going to do about the feedback that you gave us is also important. So I think I should admonish all of us here to get into that practice of not just taking feedback and acting silently or shelving it, but communicating to the customer that we heard you and we have actually done something about it. Thank you.
Maybe we can take other questions.
Let me come to you.
Come doozy.
I'm not sure I captured your question well. How I had example.
Question I go over, how do you strike a balance between customer service and PR? We get feedback from customers in our social media platforms, and the first thing that you are concerned about, get reputation and many a times you want to take down that post, negative feedback.
Yeah.
But at the back of the mind, we are all here to serve the customer. So how do you strike that balance between receiving feedback and it being publicized and saving the company, as well as thinking about the customer at the same time?
I think Mayor Masingala will expand on that, but to be short and precise to the point, I think that is wrong. That is not clear. To me, that is not. I know it happens, and that's bad, because most of the organization during break, something related to that, to say people do not want feedback, and we don't know why people don't want feedback. To an extent that when a customer gives you feedback, you are very quick to be defensive or protect the reputation in your company. Ronamo Bob say, or in my department, I have a policy. We want feedback, and we want it as raw as it is, because without feedback, there's no way we are going to improve. Remember, the bottom line is we do everything that we do for the customer. It's the customer first, then the organization, not to me. So if you are going to take down the customer feedback post or something like that, then you are in the wrong lane, in short. I don't know if I've answered you. PR is all about customer, it's part of customer service. Actually, those should be the professionals, the customer service. So we need as much feedback as possible. Even my managing director always says, Mr. President, let Batswana bar Romai, let Batswana bar Lesotho, because from that Lesotho, I'm to have you are too pitch black. But you are too pitch black. You are black. Black, there's nothing wrong with black. Then I can open pitch black or two. Wake back, I have not black because I need two pitch black.
I think just to add on what you are saying, first and foremost, let's agree that when we give a service or a product, we are saying we are accountable and we are responsible. So when we have feedback that is negative and PR pulls it down, we are communicating that we are not accountable. We are also communicating we are not responsible. And this is why we feel feedback is an attack. But if we have put in accountability and responsibility in our culture, remember we said culture is all the processes in it. It means we are also accountable when a customer complains, whether the customer is being genuine or not. By us,
Because of my wife. So, you know, those boring calls that you guys make, yeah. It was always someone panting for breath, struggling to breathe, and you had to go there. To a point that I could even hear my phone ringing when it wasn't. That's how stressful it was. And you'd be on call the whole week, alone, day and night. So you are moving up and down. So basically, this was one of the most stressful things. I remember one day we were doing some feedback session at work. So he came in the morning and I was asked if there's anything to report, and I was wondering, I actually asked the question, is there any use for us to meet here and give feedback? The issue was the hospitals were full, there was no oxygen, patients were dying, you were certifying every day, and you were trained to save lives, not to certify. So, having had said all this, I've managed to work when my mental health was on the line, right? Just to let you know that we really don't like death, as many of you think. It still traumatizes us because we also lose loved ones. Yeah, so we are going to talk about breaking the stigma, creating safe spaces for mental health conversations at work. How many of us have ever become stressed of work? Okay. Oh, so you are human beings. Okay, all right. So all of us have had some work stress. So how many of us usually take our laptops home for work purposes? I don't mean where you say, hey, this work, they may come in still. To work. Okay, so I can see one or two hands going up. How many of us care about our family members, close family? Okay, so we all do. How much time do you spend with your family members? Okay. I like that. I like the honesty.
And there's a reason why I ask all these questions. Please pay attention to them as we progress, right? Yeah. Oh, it has to be on before it works. Oh, okay. All right. You know, the setup assumes that I have to be here and not move. I would really love to move, but there's a mic that is supposed to capture my voice. All right, let's start here. I know I'm going to traumatize many of you. What is this? Is it an animal cell or a plant cell? Okay, sorry guys. So this is an animal cell. It doesn't matter that much. But what I want you to understand from that is this cell has got particulate matter inside. That is pieces that we can see, the mitochondrion, the nucleus, the Golgi apparatus. We can see all those things. You don't really need to remember those names. No one cares about them except myself. Now, there is also this thing that contains everything, which is known as the cell membrane. If I were to be gentle to you, I would take you like through 3 months worth of material to just discuss the cell membrane and what is contained there. Now, this is the fluid. You see this fluid is known as the cytoplasm. So this thing is where everything within the cell takes place, right? Your chemical reactions, your cell differentiation, your cell growth, your everything takes place within the cell. Now, the assumption is that when you have got everything, every component, the assumption is the cell must be able to work properly. The reason why I'm saying the assumption is because when you die, or when the cell dies, don't worry, you are not dying. But it shall come one day, not now. All right, so when you look at this, at the point of death, the cell is still intact, but function has stopped. What I'm trying to say is, you may have everything, like the nucleus is there. You look at it under a microscope, everything looks perfect. The cytoplasm is there, but your rate of survival and life is determined by how well these things work together. The car that is in your house, that is not functional. You remember that one? The one that the old man is refusing to sell because he was told you don't sell the first car. That one, it has got the engine, the gearbox, everything, but it is not functional. So what I'm driving at is, the workplace is made of non-human capital, human resources, and the interaction between these two determines profitability. Now, every business is profitable. I know there's this fancy way that the non-profit making, profit making. Guys, we are all here for profit. Why do you give me that look? So we are all here for profit. And what I'm trying to say is, it may not be bringing money in the sense that maybe you are giving services for free, right? But have you ever thought of the economic impact of that service? Even if you are not getting money. So profitability can not only be measured in the sense of how much revenue and then you subtract the expenditure and all those beautiful ways that people usually confuse us with. But we are basically saying interaction between these two gives you profitability. Hey, we are together. All right, let me start by saying this. The workplace, okay, this an old man basically has been working so hard almost all his life. I respect people like this because they put in their soul. By the way, 61% of the world is doing something like this. That is, they're part of the informal sector. Now, the workplace is not a hospital, except for me. So for the rest of you, this statement is very true. What I'm trying to say by this is, we are not trying to say, let people come to, I'm starting with this statement so that we understand the background. We are not saying employ people so that they can freely get sick. Why you should agree with me. We want people to work, right? That is why we employ them. We pay them at the end of the month. Why? they have worked, right? And it's important for us to understand jobs, because you are not even allowed to get sick. You know that boss who would call you and ask you, where are you? I'm at the hospital, 2 minutes down the line. Kante, where are you? I'm sick. Hey, oh, Kana, it's a Monday. Kana, we are from the long weekend. Or you have a car accident. The person doesn't even ask how you are. Like, how is the car? The company car. Because he's interested in the insurance, whatever, not you. So, as much as we are not coming to work to be admitted, we shouldn't feel like we are giving our last breath. Because the main reason why we go to work is not necessarily for the company, but for our family. So let's not make each other sweat extra in order to put bread on the table. So we are together on that one. Yeah, in this case, I'm always right until you ask questions, because the presentation is mine. I made it, this one. I made it. All right, so let us talk about this. And I'll mention one or two things about the medical school, which is where I've gone. And then in the medical school, the questions, I mean, you are trained to understand you can be wrong. And then once you accept that, we teach you, you should be able to stand by your decision. We're in trouble. So we are so wrong so many times, such that the older you become, the more of a doctor you appear. You know, once a patient once chased me, so I was trying to examine. I was working in the maternity department, and I was trying to prepare people for cesarean sections, and this lady looked at me and said, "No, maybe it's by a doctor." And at that time, I was quite brief. Yeah, so I went away. So the next day, she sees me, and then one of the patients says, "Ngaka." So she looks and says, "Mulusha garma, Okay, so at school, we are taught of this thing. It's called the biopsychosocial model of health. So it looks at three key components: the biological, the social, and the psychological. I really need to move. I feel like I'm bigger because the space is small. So the biological looks at your fractures, your heart failures, your hypertension, your diabetes, all those diseases for both the poor and the rich, right? So this is, for me, the easiest component of health. Because let's think about it. You break a limb, right? In 6 weeks' time, you are back, you are fine. We are done. You can go and continue with physio if you want, but at the end of the day, it's quite straightforward. You have got hypertension, we tell you, no, go and eat right, don't stress each other at home, things like that. Your BP is controlled, we are happy. So this one is not problematic. And this one is very easy. This is where you come to our office, you come and ask for scans and x-rays, MRIs, PET scans, CT scans, all those things. And oftentimes you can make diagnoses based on that. This is where we do labs. And then we can get confirmations of our diagnosis. However, we have got this balloon. It's very beautiful. But sometimes it takes away my peace. Okay, so there is this part, social. So this social deals with our interactions and how we associate and relate with those that we live with. Now, if you think of it, how much time do you spend at work?
8 hours.
Okay, let's assume it's 8. I know you are doing more than that, especially those who can apply for overtime. I know. I can see your guilty faces. So, social interaction. So let's assume we are normal. We spend 8 hours. Oh, okay. All right. No, thank you. I was actually liberated. So, social interaction. If we spend 8 hours at work, this is excluding your bath time. Okay, this one is negligible for men. This excludes your bath time, your breakfast, and your drive to work, right? So if we are to be fair, maybe let's say you spend 12 hours around work-related things. You are left with how many hours? 12 hours. How much time do you spend in bed? 8 hours. So now you are left with 4 hours. This 4 hours you deal with your social life. Yeah, you have got children, husband, friends. Yeah. So basically you have got 4 hours per day. So all that time has to be squeezed in within this. And then the psychological part deals with the time that you have with yourself now. Now you say, right? So these are the two that I want us to look at. These are highly complex because one family will thrive when they are poor and one family will divorce because one is poor. So there is no straight and forward route that you can take. And you notice these social factors can affect your biological. For example, you get drunk, you kill your liver, now you become my client. Then you don't eat well, you end up becoming my client. You look at the psychological, the fact that you have got any biological disease, for example, if you have a cancer, none of you will have very normal psychological health. So you see, these two interact intimately with the biological, but if we were to do simple statistics, this is about 66% of what health is. But I can tell you, of the 6 years I spent in training, we dealt with mental health for 8 weeks. You missed that. So this is our key problem, 66%. But the curriculum is based on this, which is only 33%. In other words, if you have got struggles at home, and I miss that, no one will kill me. But they will kill me because I missed the heart failure. But these two can make your life a living hell. Yeah. In fact, I would rather break my leg than to have a dysfunctional family. Anytime. Right? No, I want a plaster. Can I at least hear if you fracture yourself and you are not healing well, we can open the skin, get into the bone, we support it with metals. Then we close the skin. Here. Someone is telling you they are not well. And you ask them to describe how they feel. And they tell you, image. And they carry nothing. So mental health, this is the most complex component of health. Do you know what complex means? Complex means the intricacies of mental health, they are always shifting. Things move. And there is nothing such as a blanket solution. You can't just say, okay, since the family is broke, I'm giving you money. We are done. The moment the money arrives, problems increase. So, this is the most complex part. And I know people come to the hospital sometimes looking for a quick fix. Here, there are no quick fixes. In fact, even if we were to give you medication for your psychological health, the quickest acting starts acting after 2 weeks. Minimum. That's when we expect to see some improvement. How many weeks? 2 weeks. But right now, if you come and the car has smashed your fingers, I give you pethidine or whatever, morphine or whatever, within a couple of minutes, you can even say, hey, I nearly died. All right. So these are the complexities around mental health. Number one, there's difficulty to measure severity and functionality. Right? Like I said, this is not one of those where you come and you are stressed, we do a scan and then we see something. There's nothing like that. So we basically depend a lot on what you tell us. So think about it as the manager. You have got someone who has got some mental health problems and they tell you, hey, today I'm just not myself. And you can see it then, but they're not themselves. So how do you measure severity? And then the other thing is questions around confidentiality. You are not a healthcare professional, you are just a business whatever, or you're a business owner. how far do you go on asking people about mental health? It's really difficult. I don't want to come here and sound as though it's something very easy. Come on, take it easy, be a human being. I get. And then there's no obvious expected time of recovery. Let me give an example. Someone in the same organization may lose a father. Within 3 months, they're okay, bubbly, same people that you used to. But someone may be crying every time they see their father's photo, 2 years down the line. So you just can't say, hey, my sister, by now we should have moved on. Hey, when I am when you are a problem. Again, things that you guys say to each other at work. Hey, right now we are all nice people, but at work, I can imagine your frowns for that one. Okay, then there is high recurrence rates. We have heard of a lot of people who have been to rehabs, right? How many of them actually go back for rehab? A lot. Even Sprana, there are a lot of patients that are known for, no, he's back. we were wondering, this month is going to pass just like that. So, high recurrence rates. And then, like I said, this is highly subjective. It's the person telling you. And then you try to make an objective decision based on subjective decision. Like I say, there is no blood test that you can do to say, hey, depression. And then this involves issues outside the workplace. For example, your workplace is not made to solve your workers' marital issues. One day, a week prior to this incident, I had a patient who could not accept blood transfusion. So I prayed. I think that was the longest prayer I've had before a surgery. So you go in, operate this lady, very beautiful baby born, no incident happens. A week down the line, a doctor friend of mine is doing his own surgery. The patient dies on the table, right? That guy came in the morning. So this happened at night. So the whole night, he dragged himself through the call. So in the morning he comes, this guy looks like a zombie. So he arrives and then he asks to be allowed time off. And the boss says, well, not the boss, but the boss to this little boss. So twice mini boss. So he says, okay guys, let's make sure that we do not drag our problems into. You know how it is to tell a husband that your wife died when I was operating? Yeah. So he says, don't drag your problems. It's just that I don't have very strong, but I could have done something. All right. So the reason why you are interested in mental health as businesses is because this thing is not cheap. Yes, sometimes we think of it as, hey, Lamma, those things that okay, so 60% of the world population is working, 61% is in the formal sector. So most of you are actually dealing with those in the formal sector. I get the 39%. But we also know that you have got house helpers. We know. Hey, you have left them at home. And we also know that you have got those ones that are at the farm. Hey, you also have them. And in most cases, we don't care about them, unfortunately. I'm just putting it out there so that you know that I know. Okay, so 300 million people lived with anxiety, 280 depression. These numbers, I think right now we are around 350 million. This is just above 300 million. So, you see, 703,000 people died of suicide in 2019. Now, of these, some of you were your colleagues. And of these 280 people and 301, just anxiety and depression, we are not even talking about every mental condition. Just these two, the amount of cost to the healthcare sector, just these two, is closer to NCDs, which are the greatest killers now. And these two can increase your propensity to having strokes and heart attacks. Just these two. Or in other words, if you treat someone badly, you are basically saying, I want to give you a heart attack in such a way that the court will not come after me. Reshapu, we are still friends. What's happening to your mental health? We are still together. Even if you don't want, we will use my love for you. We will work together with it. All right. So 15% of working age adults had mental disorder in 2019. Right now, I know this is pretty high. And the other thing is, most of you who are managers and middle and upper, most of you, the people that you are supervising, Gen Z. Yes. Hey, their work ethic is very different from yours. And they want nice things. My Gen Z don't understand why you want to use a typewriter. No. Typewriters, no. Just use voice something and then things will just appear on the screen. Hey, but when I go, you have been doing this for the past 50 years before they were born. Like, you must work. Then 20 people gather around doing something that could be done in an hour. So these are the guys, by law, they will tell you, no, now my mental health matters. By the way, that is right. But I'm simply saying, this is a changing work environment. We need to adjust. Otherwise, we are going to kill each other. Look at the impact. 50% of total societal cost of mental health conditions is driven indirect costs such as reduced productivity. Ooh. So sometimes you are paying people, there is no productivity, simply because there is a mental health issue behind it. I've rejected offers from private, mainly because they would require half of my day at work. And they were paying, it was tempting. So I simply said, no, I can't, I won't. Because mental health first. If you don't have proper mental health, you will see other things crumbling. So if 50% of cost reduce productivity, it means no matter how much you pay this person, their productivity won't increase. By the way, all of us here have had pay raises before. Let's tell the truth. Regardless of how high the paycheck became after that particular promotion, how many of you still felt the increment 3 months down the line? So it didn't work, eh? The first month, that's when even your work changed. Next month you notice, can't hey. Look at this. 12 billion working days are lost every year to depression and anxiety. 12 billion working days. And I want to emphasize something. There's something called presenteeism. Do you know what it is? Presenteeism. Yeah. So these are the guys who come. You expect them to be at work at 7:30, they come. 4:30, they knock off. What have you done? Nothing. Month end, full paycheck. You should talk nicely to them. This is how much the world loses due to depression and anxiety. We don't even, most of us don't know how many zeros make up a trillion, but at least we can appreciate it's a lot of money. Now, I want us to look at a couple of these statistics. The reason why I'm saying this is so that when I talk about creating the environment, then it makes sense. Look at this. 85% of people working in an organization where most senior leaders speaks about mental health feel their employer cares about their mental well-being. In other words, as a leader, just the sheer fact that you talk about mental health, just talking, you are not spending anything, you don't need Bomasinkala. You are simply saying, guys, take care of yourself, be well, stay well. That on its own says to them, these people care. Do you know how many people stay in their workplaces? Not because there are no better offers, but they stay because they are treated like family. Yeah. Those people will make your business grow. they'll talk about it as if it's part of their genes. It's like they're absorbing nutrients as they talk about you, right? However, this figure, 85%, drops to 31% when you just keep quiet. Kind of when people feel like you don't care, you know what they do? They'll tell each other, no, I get the money is theirs. Right now we are just here. So it's not even about productivity, it's about making sure that you avoid being sacked. Like how do you, like in the night you think that thinking of something great, when they're Googling how to get a salary and avoid being chased from work. Yet you maintain your salary. Again. And then I want us to also look at this. 41% of the line managers have had dedicated training on having conversations with colleagues about their mental health. 41%. How many have been trained in your organizations? So 41%. And of this 41%, the colleagues feel like this 41% actually care. Now the question is, where is the 59? Why are we training some people and not others? These are not very special things that we cannot train people on. Of course, there are issues around character and personality, but I think we can be nice to each other. Again, you should see me laugh with my patients. And we are talking about deep issues of life. Again, 47% of those who have shared their mental health challenges with their line managers say they have been discriminated against as a result. So, yeah, what this means is about half of those that have disclosed their issues, you use that, you weaponized the information you had. Hey, managers. Then you walk to the camera holding that key. I'm talking to women right now. So, okay, look at this, guys. This is actually embarrassing. 42% of workers agree that their workplace has a culture which encourages open dialogue about mental health. 42%. Now the question is, where is the 58%? Why can't we just be human beings and love each other? And we affirm people must work, we agree. But we shouldn't treat them like they are no longer human beings. As if right now we are bulletproof, we can't die, we can't lose loved ones, we are just okay. I've lost my sense of time. Now, because of these mental conditions, people are experiencing a lot of stigma in the workplace. To a point that we even give them names. Hey, right? So the person is going through whatever they say. Now we find a good opportunity to talk about that. Not because we want to come up with any solution or whatever. Or someone asks to go to the hospital to get their monthly prescription. It's like, hey, okay, next time I'll use a man's voice so that it doesn't look like it's only women who say that. 50-50, we share the burden. All right, so there's a lot of stigma that is taking place, and it's something that we really need to deal with, right? And remember, some of the mental health problems that our colleagues are going through are caused by the workplace. Of course, they've got other problems that they may come with, but the issue is, once we have employed them, they are one of us. Again. All right. So types of stigma are not really important for you to know, but self-stigma is when you actually stigmatize yourself. Do you know those people? Okay, part of what I see at work, I've got patients who may miss their medication simply because they were afraid that if they asked for permission to go and get that prescription, the boss was going to kill them. So now it's like you are your own problem. And that happens a lot. Public stigma is when those around you stigmatize you because of the mental health that you have. By the way, mental health problem. It doesn't mean that if someone has got some mental health problem, they are non-functional. Let us learn to distinguish the two. And let me state this. Is the customer always right?
Nope.
Yeah, actually, for me, the customer is almost always wrong. Now, this information, yeah, almost always. Now, this is the point that I'm trying to drive home. The fact that I know that my customer is usually wrong helps me to be better prepared to help them when they are wrong. I don't use that to kill them. I use that in order for me to learn how to best handle them. For example, in my workplace, most people are sick. Well, yeah. And of those that are unwell, whether it's biological causes or psychosocial, okay, of the biological causes, like 10% or so, they would also have a psychosocial cause. And that is around 80-90% of them. So I actually have a lot of trouble in terms of explaining to them what is happening. So the reason why the customer is almost always wrong is you'd see a patient coming because the child cannot see properly. All they are looking for, okay, what is the proper way? Like specs. Those people, like this is, let me give you an example. Like this beautiful young little girl, she's 8 years of age. I saw her last year. She comes, the father is concerned because she just can't see properly. They've tried moving her to the front of the class, nothing happens. So she comes for her eye check. To them, the problem is she needs some spectacles. So he's sure that he can't see properly because he's nearsighted. I do an exam on that child, the pupils are this huge. We send her, she does her CT. The next day, she has a tumor this huge in the middle of her brain. So the patient needed specs. If she was always right, but she was wrong. But we didn't kill the parent, they're still alive. We took them through the process. We explained, I actually told them what my fears were, why I don't think the glasses would help in any way, and why they shouldn't even go and buy anything. Yeah, the sad story is that the child actually passed away. It was such a sad story. It's just that some of these things, we see them quite advanced, right? Yeah, and one thing that I'm wondering is, after that happened, how was he treated, the father, at work? I'm just wondering, how was he treated? Did someone understand that he just lost the daughter? Can we give him time? Can we adjust his hours? So those things never happen. It's like, hey, my brother, we are paid the same. Structural stigma mainly around what the business does. For example, you know, there are people who deliberately hide your benefits. Deliberately. I don't know how the whole organization connives to say, any new employee, don't tell them that they've got these benefits. Even if they get injured or they get some psychological whatever that they can even claim, no, we just keep quiet, we hide the information until he retires. When he comes back, we never know. What if you got the condition when you're outside? Those are some of the things we do. And then the other issues are around culture, work culture. I mean, we can never overemphasize work culture, right? Under structural thing. Yeah, mental health stigma due to ignorance. This word has nothing to do with ignore. Guys, this is a free English lesson. Ignorance means lack of knowledge. To ignore, so yes, we may be ignorant because you ignore information when it's there. Now, most people do not know what to do. They lack knowledge. societal norms and beliefs, what people understand about mental health, will cause stigma. Now, go have on what about the jam? Get drama queen. Now, how to live to look drama. Workplace culture can actually lead to mental health stigma. Yeah, I want us to look at, there's something called psychological safety. Psychological safety at work doesn't mean that everybody is nice to each other all the time. It means that people feel free to brainstorm out loud, voice half-finished thoughts, openly challenge the status quo, share feedback, and work through disagreements together. So in other words, the first and most important thing we can do as a way of helping these people is to allow them to talk. And we are going to talk about how you allow people to talk. Like in this case, I don't have any form of stigma because you are all listening to me. And you have eaten. Now I can see your eyes are becoming heavier. So let's start here. There are some things that we can only come to an amicable solution because we allowed people to differ. Okay, men here in this house, have you ever thought of something, a great plan, and you according to your head, that plan is the best? Again, it happens all the time. Men, especially when we want to organize things when our wives are not there. And then you try to present this well thought of plan to your wife. She looks at it once and she tells you, there's no plan. There. Oh, and then you ask, Kante, why are you saying that? Like, again, you said you are going for braai. Hey, you don't even have wood. There are no knives, but when you are going to have braai, those differences will help you to say, oh, now that we need a knife, or we can get this knife. At the end of the day, you can have your outing with the boys, but it is because someone saw something different and actually guided you through that. So let us embrace, let us actually encourage that people can have different ideas. In that way, I'm not forced to agree with the boss simply because he can decide what happens to my position. Facilitate everyone speaking up. Allow people to speak. And I always say, if you allow them to speak, then listen. Sometimes the things that we do, we tell people speak up. They speak, let's say about I don't have many of your names, so I'm going to just throw. Now I know Mam really only in this audience. Let's say Tafa, because he's there. Nchizi, talk about, speak, say whatever you need to say. Nchizi says everything, he feels that he's protected. And he's talking about Mulusiwa with Mam Gruli. Okay. So he's talking about Mulusiwa with Mam Gruli. Yeah? This is stuff again. Then we go there. Hey, did you know what he said? Why did you allow me to talk? If you are not willing to protect me and to make sure that I'm actually heard, establish norms for how failure is handled. Not all failures total failure must not be punished. Don't punish people for trying, because those that do nothing never fail, because they never had an opportunity to fail. So those that are failing are those that are trying. So the issue is, how do we guide them when they fail? Like, it's a totally different thing when people have gone against protocol. And then create space for new ideas. Sometimes your company is stuck where it is because you are not coming up with any new ideas. Ask BlackBerry. Don't worry, it's all over the internet, so I'm not like dishing out there. Then make mental health an explicit priority. Let everyone know that you care. It's not everyone must know, both in the workplace and those that are around. They would know that we care. Then pay close attention and look for patterns. I want to emphasize this. There are some people who used to be hard workers in your workplace. All of a sudden, this person is not trying to even lift a finger. People don't just change like that. Just take note of that pattern. If you notice something changing, or even the person used to knock off at 4:30, all of a sudden he knocks off at 7. But there's nothing to really explain why that person has suddenly changed. Take note of that. You may not ask them more. Make intentional effort to promote dialogue. Right? Intentional. Be intentional. When you ask someone to speak up, be ready to listen. Then celebrate people's wins. And this one, it has to be uniform. We are all in the same whatever category. I've done well, I get a car. When you have done well, we get you a case of water. Again. So let us celebrate wins equitably. Again. When people have done well, recognize. Again. That will help them to come out of that shell and to actually tell that you care. Then I want us to look at this quickly. These are stages of psychological safety that the organization goes through. So the first thing, let's say someone comes in, there is an issue of inclusion. Do I feel like I'm part of the organization? That is the very elemental one. When someone comes in, they need to know and understand that I'm part of this organization. Unfortunately, if you didn't have the right culture, the moment you are done introducing them to your beautiful workplace, others will tell them, we used to be treated like that. Wait until next week. Okay, so include everyone. And then learner safety, everyone who arrives, no matter how much they know, they are going to learn. The environment is new. You know, I was looking at Masinkala's qualifications. So after her surname, there were names of qualifications. Like BBA, MBA, CIMA, what. Like, ooh. So even with those, when she comes into the new work environment, she should be allowed to make some mistakes, especially about what the company actually does that is unique to the company. Of course, you know what accounts are, how accounts are done, but there's maybe system issues, how you deal with this system. So allow that person to learn in the environment, and they should actually appreciate that I'm learning, I'll get there. I get, hey, not where when you are ready to kill all the time. Challenger safety, these are people that, let's say you have spent all your money trying to employ this person, and then they start questioning the status quo. Why are we doing things this way? Legend Z, when I live 40 years old, this little person, who, like even younger than your last born, comes in and then they tell you, no, this one won't work. We can actually come up with an app. We can do this quickly. We can increase by our product. Like, hey, young man, this company was built on hard work. Hey, but I'm simply saying we don't have to sweat unnecessarily. Hey, okay, so contributor safety, like people should be allowed to contribute. They should be allowed. You should encourage. I mean, one day I was looking for a wife when I was younger. And one of the things I thought of was, there are two ways. You can either marry a woman who agrees with you all the time. It's easy. When you say something, she'll agree with you. So, minus one problem. But, you can equally choose a wife who can differ with you. That will delay a lot of your decisions, but they will be calculated. So which one will you choose? And then one of the days, I get that other one who agrees with you, ask, should we paint this house black or gray? Like, I need your opinion. And then you start calling, hey, Bana, because that is where it comes from. Bakae Bana, she's Bana. That's my wife had some mobile. However, I tell you one. Let's start with this. Okay, we are done. Hey, I get it. Yeah. Okay. Free. The reason why I'm saying free things first and last is, in most cases, when we think about these things. I know at a strategic level, you always think, okay, guys, so what is the budget? What is our financial plan for this year? Can we include that? You know, when you are with the big boys, yeah, those who, nowadays there are no checks. I nearly say those who sign checks. The first thing, protect the victim. If someone is stigmatized, protect. And you can do this in many ways. You remember what I said about speaking up. As the leader, speak up. When you notice it, speak. 2, policy. Let your policy clearly state that you care about mental health and what you intend to do. It's a pity that only 40% of those who have got mental health strategies actually implement them. And those that are successful come from businesses where the managers, the top managers, actually care about mental health. So you'd notice that it's not necessarily about the strategy, but top management. So in other words, if your strategy is failing, look up. I know some of you are looking at yourselves because there is no up beyond you. Yeah, some of us, there are multiple levels above us, so we can easily look like, hey, we just are teaming that. All right. Encourage social activities outside work. Guys, this issue, don't mix business with pleasure, what. If you think your time is from 7:30 to 4:30, wait until your employee comes drunk, and he drank at 5 a.m. Then you'll notice, so these things can interact. So encourage them to have some life. 5 aside, encourage them to go for their wives' birthdays, children's birthdays, know when prize giving is. If time allows, allow them to attend those. Encourage people to have those social activities. Because remember what I said about psychosocial, 66%. That on its own creates a safety netting. In case anything terrible happens at home, at work, that person will have someone to support them. And you don't have to pay anything. Nothing, zero. You don't need a budget. You don't need to consult with Masinga. Encourage functional friendships, even at work. There are some people that are quite close and they help each other work better. For example, when I was in DRM, there used to be this friend of mine, when we were on call, because you'd come to work and then you continue on call the next day. What we'd do is we'd break each other at lunch. Let's say if he's on call, I would work until 7 p.m. so that he only comes to work at 7. It is just what we agreed to as a friendship. It worked for both of us. I'm simply saying, such friendships where we don't delay each other and you see that these friendships work, encourage them. Don't destroy those. Maintain confidentiality. Learn to, I nearly used a very strong word, learn to keep quiet. Who said shut up? Hey, so maintain confidentiality, learn to keep quiet. When someone has shared something with you, remember that is privileged information. That is why ha ke kwala sick leave ha ke re o lola makhwekhwene ne tsa tseno ha ka ta tiro ha ke rialo ke bua la re ga tsoga wena kwa no tla ngwa hantlo gore a ke ba balase a keng, but it's none of my business. So learn to maintain confidentiality. Educate your staff. Retain kabathong retain educate your staff. Let your staff know. And both executive and the low ranking staff, both of them should know what stigma is, because the gossipy they run across. Kana gossipy is a calling. It's not even something you go to school for. People who just, like even right now, we have started gossipy. Then the other thing is effective recruitment process. Stop hiring people the way you hire your nannies and your helpers. Where you look for someone who wears a skirt and say, can you sweep? Yeah, come. We are employing you today. That's not how you should employ. When you sit down to recruit, either it's the person at the front desk, take your time. Know their interests, know everything. By the time you say, this is the person we want, it's a person that you want. Because this is the person that if one day he crumbles under the pressure of life, you can support them. It's like, and I would like to use marriage over and over again. You know, when your wife said yes, I'll use wife because I'm the one talking. When your wife said yes, you never questioned the yes. But after you get married and she says no to something, you should equally respect that no. So when you have employed someone and you respect their work ethic and everything, when they are not well and they cannot perform as well, then you should be in a position to support them, because you know their capabilities, you have measured what they can do. It's just that they are having a minor glitch, you are trying to support them. Have functional social welfare department. Your social welfare department is where someone has got this portfolio and then they are given. By the way, most of the things that we spend money on, where we go out team building, by the way, those things don't work much. Because I know, hey, Satan, it's a general more. No, like that's literally what people say. We don't know why these things are there. There is nothing wrong with going for those, but trust me, they are not much in terms of value for money. Because I do that once a year or twice. You want to tell me to replace the 365 days? So, profitability is directly proportional to mental health. That's the first I want to say. The last thing, so mental health defines more than 66% of health. Mental health is complex and often stigmatized. And I want to add with this word, work culture driven by willing management is the greatest predictor of success of mental health policy. Thank you very much. Before the should I run away? Okay.
Prize giving. Thank you so much, Dokotela. Dr. Mulisiwa. Let's give him another round of applause, please. Yeah, that was a beautiful presentation. We are honored, sir. And I believe from now on, yes, you're an employer here or you're an employee. Treat your employees well. Check a mental stability. Are they fine? Like he mentioned, check the work patterns. What is going on? Yeah, just to ask, are you fine? Are you good? You know, just one or two words conversation. It won't hurt. Yeah. Your employees yes, all right, so thank you so much, Dr. Mulisiwa. I believe even cancer stigma, we have learned a lot about all of that, and we have learned a lot. The customer is not always right. I get it. Yeah, with that scenario that he mentioned about the young kid, it was so it's like from now on, just concluded conclusions. Where is that? All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mulisiwa. Let's give him another round of applause, please. Yes, all right. So at this point in time, let me give you the platform to ask any questions. If you have any question or comments to Mr. Dr. Mulisiwa, please do that by raising your hand. There will be a roving mic. You'll be given the mic so that you'll be audible enough for a doctor. Okay, we have a hand here. That one is not. It's not in the move. It's not on the move.
Thank you. Dr. Mulisiwa, good luck with the anyway, I think thank you for that presentation. I think you noticed I was getting in and out of your presentation. And I think my question was around digital health. You know, we are exposed to a lot more frequently, which also spikes anxiety and emergencies. So I think maybe for those present and businesses present, how can you include that digital wellness breaks and all those things into the normal day, because I think they serve as a distraction, and we live in a digital era. But I do have to body shaming, all those other things. So how can we create safe spaces even in our workplaces from a digital perspective? Thank you.
You save more questions so that I are
Thank you very much. Morning, and thank you, Doctor, afternoon actually, for your presentation. Some of us are triggered by what you were saying because it's the truth, what happens to us in our workplaces. And I'd just like to say that maybe it would be important to actually have more sessions like this, so people are actually aware that it is normal to actually be made to feel a certain way at work. So mine is just an appreciation. Thank you very much. And I've been to Nef-Aid.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I've been to Nef-Aid once in my lifetime. Upon my return, I lost my job.
That's bad. That's super bad.
Yeah, and my question to you, but thanks for that presentation, Doctor. And my question is, it's like when you look into the generation, I have interest in a business that employs about 34 people. It's a butchery, two branches in Gaborone, Block 6 and Station. And the guy who takes care of everyday business operations, also a partner, thinks that perhaps the Gen Zs are way too fragile to handle the work pressures. Because, well, when you talk about an issue, I know we talked about this at one point, we said, these guys are too quick to diagnose depression. Even when someone is just bored, they think they're depressed. And then he said, look at me. I was depressed, and I only realized that I was depressed after I recovered. But these guys, all of a sudden, you didn't have a good meal, we are depressed, our mental health is compromised, and that ultimately affects production and performance of the business. But now is, how then do we deal with different age groups, and perhaps will it be safe to say, because Asima 2000, Kiwoma 90, or smaller woman 95, yes, of course, for my Loma 2000, are they too fragile to actually handle the work pressures? Or maybe we are just being not so keen on having a structure that will actually take care of their mental health?
Maybe the last one. You have another question?
Okay, hello, Madam Betzel. Dr. Maledi Mukhogelwa. I was just telling a friend as we were working in that I resigned yesterday. And then she was asking me, how do you feel? I said, I think that's the best thing that I did for myself. And so I really believe, like, in everything that he was presenting here, and mental health is the key to productivity in the workplace. And when you are smart and you are employed because you are smart, intelligent, and you are this productive person who brings results, it means that you are also going to question certain things and to propose certain things that they can bring a positive change in the workplace. But when you are perpetually being made to think that what you are bringing is not it, is not right, and then later what you are proposing is being implemented and it seems to be coming from somewhere, then these are the things that break people in the workplace. Yeah, so your mental health comes first because you are there, you came there and you were selected from the rest because you are outstanding from the rest, and it was because of your mental health. I always say that people buy you before they can buy what you do. And you are that mentally health person that works into that organization. Thank you.
In the absence of any questions,
Maybe the Nante Galatene, Yami Foso. Hey, Mathap. So, like, we're in a workplace where the leadership finds joy in victimizing the employees. Or in that case, defend is it possible for that leader, for that employer to change the mindset? Is it possible to say no, victimization is not a good thing? Treat my employees in a better way. What is possible? Even the employees, or what can be done to because victimization is stress.
Let me try to attempt some of the questions they were posed. The first one was on digital health and essentially how much it affects productivity. And unfortunately, these devices have actually expanded the world that we're exposed to. You'll be shocked that there are even someone who knows that you just run for 10 seconds and then the guy says, we know you've been trying to work for all these years and you're still struggling more, complaining, so the first thing is for us to appreciate that tech addiction, which is a totally huge topic that we are currently discussing. It's more complex than even cocaine, very few of us use. But phones, all of us use. Someone is always pressing something. So the issue is, that one is highly what an individual can do for themselves. Otherwise, at the workplace, the only thing you can use to legislate, which is going to make things a bit more complicated. But the issue is to always emphasize, guys, let's do work. And then we set objectives. That's one thing that I've noticed too. You set objectives that must be completed. If someone knows that this thing has to be completed, they will less likely have appetite to spend most of the time on the gadget because time is of essence. So that one, depending on which industry you're in, you can decide which method you work. Are you going to pay them based on objectives met, or are you going to stick with time? And then with time, challenges would come with overtime. Someone will spend the whole day doing nothing, and then they want to stay extra hours. So those are some of the things that we can consider. That one is highly something that must be taught, even the dangers of what comes with that. We're actually becoming dumb because of the phones. Before we get to things such as bullying. And then people should also do gadget hygiene. Know what to share, what not to share. Don't just share everything. For example, for me, the easiest thing I've done for myself, I'm not active in most of these things. Not because I'm actually into this, but I just find it easier for me to stay out. It's not like I'm scared that the general is sharing information, but don't share everything. Share what you feel is necessary. And you wouldn't have a problem with someone questioning about what you share. And then, in terms of ability to handle work pressures, remember, as an employer, you have got an unprecedented, you have got an opportunity to employ people that you do want. So emergency are yes, but look for emergency that you know, this one is you put in the work. Because I think if you take our own fathers, they will not be able to be as agile as. So, like I said, let's take recruitment seriously. Even if that person is paid the minimum wage, make sure that take time when you recruit. I don't necessarily think that all the Gen Zs are lazy.
I'm not a Gen Z myself, but I work, I put in the work, and then that's one thing I'm proud of, and I do it well. So it's something that I would like to say just on that. And sometimes our preconceived ideas and our experiences can make it difficult for others to express themselves. That's one point I also wanted to note. For example, growing up, my life wasn't as easy as my son's life. When I was doing standard 1, I would cross over 5 kilometers to school, come back, eat, go back to school, then come back, right? I shouldn't then say, now my son should travel 5 kilometers. But one or two things he used to learn that are different. And later on, we should also look for new technologies that can make work easy. Or let's not straight unnecessary. And then in terms of can a leopard change his sports, which was your question. Can we make a manager who doesn't care about people to care about people? In terms of personality, that is quite difficult.
Yeah.
But especially when they're at the very, very, very top. So now this goes back to what Masinkala said, and it's something that I touched on. When it comes to someone changing, especially when they've perfected the skill, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
So, but it is not impossible. So what can happen is there are a lot of things that can be done. If there is someone above them and the organization is fair, then disciplinary hearings can be done. When other things have been tried, like psychological training, how to deal with others and how to handle them. If all those things, then ultimately disciplinary hearings can be done. Other things could be reducing contact of that person, if it's possible. If you can shift, especially if it's a single person that is being stigmatized on, you can either shift that person or the one who is being victimized. The other thing that I also wanted to mention is our ability to adapt. By the way, guys, all types of work is stressful. Whether one is or like myself, it goes physically and psychologically strenuous. I always say medicine is light blue collar job because we are doing both white collar and blue collar job. So all jobs are stressful, but the greatest gift you can give to one another really is making sure that we raise kids that are strong. Don't give your children everything. Sometimes you just need to say no, not because you are broke, but for the sake of it, so that they know that the world is not going to give you everything. That resilience should be built as they grow up. Because trust me, you should see accountants around April when big books are closed. That's the busiest time. It's stressful. We can't say no, don't do anything at that time. But we need to learn to adapt and to adjust. This schedule is all about period. Let us make sure that we share our guys during this period. We are busy. Be ready. If you get your leaves because we are coming back from that. So let us build from the bottom up. Let us do that so that they are more resilient. They won't cry about everything. But in case they cry, they should know that there's a shoulder to lean on.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Mulisiwa. We are all satisfied. Yes. Yeah, it's very critical because somebody can be shifted maybe. Hey, you tell all about after 50 years. Could be there now? Lala, Okudimo, Umala Semorania, Okasiama. Utumala Semikis, and how to check a Gomarabota or Okudimulua, Nara, Chorani, Piwari, Black May, how can Zara, Kurani Kawar more organization who are toxic in Gen Z are toxic in so it's in our government offices, in our private and private sector offices. Let us really work on that. Our employers, dingwaga tse le go di-employees ba di tlisa ko go lona la ira gore le seka la di tlhokomela a litsensi ya bagaetso because re imetswe o tlhela go tshwa ke motho ha every day a jala mo wana a shaba ka wena every day yaanong ke bana mo e leng gore heletsa gote depressed hey ke bolele ke ra motswe ka re you didn't see where you're depressed now I see how all right ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Dr. Mulusiwa. If you still have any question, please jot it down. And yes, at this beautiful point in time, let me kindly allow Mr. Mpumele Lotembe he's an international speaker, yes, from South Africa. He's from Peckley, yes, Peckley, CEO from Peckley, to come and give us a beautiful presentation on reducing church and leverage, church. I don't think you're going to go to church. Yeah, I'm nice. You're going to see. They give us a church. They don't get that. I like you with them. They get out. And it's time to me. It's a church. Can you go to the line? Come on, go to the line. They're going to go. Yeah, reducing child and elevating experience with CX technologies.
Thank you.
Yeah. Please, let's give a round of applause, please.
Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today speaking at the Customer Service Week. My name is Mpumele Lotembe, and I'm a co-founder and leader of an AI health tech company. I might be continuing from your speech. So prior to the startup, which has been operating for a year, I've led customer success teams throughout my career, pretty much responsible for building customer onboarding programs, products adoption strategies, managing churn, and yeah, pretty much proactive account management. As we get to celebrate what we consider standards of service, I want us to reflect on the truth that resonates across every industry, which is customer experience. That customer experience is paramount. So in this world that we're living in, where we driven by choice and expectations, the quality of the service. The quality of the service, the quality of a service makes it different between the interaction and lifelong relationships. Today, I'm going to get into the topic of critical sustainability and success in service-oriented sector, which is reducing churn and leveraging customer experience technologies. For the purpose of this speech, I'm going to focus a lot more on healthcare, due to Berkeley being focused in healthcare. Okay, and then I will be sharing some case studies as well, which basically prove how customer experience tools can basically assist. Okay, so maybe let's start with understanding what is churn. Okay, so churn measures the percentage of customers leave your product or service. Okay, so pretty much it's the opposite of customer retention. When we hear the term churn, we think often of canceled subscriptions, lost MRR, which is monthly recurring revenue. But when it comes to healthcare, it's actually vital because it impacts humans. So yeah, in healthcare, churn takes on a far more profound meaning. it basically, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, churn basically goes beyond subscription when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to patients. So in healthcare, it refers to patients discontinuing treatments, switching healthcare providers, disengaging from wellness programs, and probably not even renewing their medical aid. So the implications of this are far-reaching and deeply impactful. For businesses, the impact is quite obvious, which is just revenue loss for hospitals and clinics. But when it comes to humans or comes to patients, it affects obviously health. Okay. Okay, so I have touched into the financial impacts for businesses, and then operationally, it creates inefficiencies as resources are spent on acquiring new patients, and then basically for patient outcomes, as I've already listed, what are the patient outcomes when they basically have to leave a healthcare provider. So imagine this, a patient discontinuing the chronic medication due to poor administrative experience or poor service that they received from you as a medical practitioner, or a family switching clinics because they feel unheard, undervalued, and potentially delaying critical diagnoses and treatments. So these are not just business losses, but they are human losses as well. Where access to quality healthcare is a national priority, reducing patient churn is even more vital. It means that every citizen who enters the healthcare system remains engaged, adhere to treatment plans, and trust their providers. Okay. The continuity of care is essential for managing prevalent health conditions such as HIV and AIDS, diabetes, hypertension, and basically for improving public health in general. Okay, so when patients feel neglected or find the healthcare system difficult to navigate, they are discouraged to basically take care of their health. All right, so I'm now going to get into the technologies that can help with this, basically leveraging customer experience tools. So this is how we combat this, right? What exactly are CX tools? So these tools are basically technologies that are designed to help with every touch points of a customer. Right, so in our case, a patient's, it would be touch points that are used by a service provider. So in healthcare, this can be something as simple as patient portals, which are easy to navigate, where patients can basically log in and receive some health information. It could be telemedicine platforms, and it could be AI-powered chatbots, which basically provide instant supports to patients, and it could be personalized communication. So CX technologies reduce churn through several key mechanisms. Okay, so CX tools reduce churn through several key mechanisms, each playing a crucial role in enhancing the patient journey, right? So the first is personalization, where tailoring healthcare experience to each individual basically makes the patients feel, feel valued and feel basically important, right? So it's customizing like the treatment plans, communication methods that suits the patients, making them feel seen, understood, through personalization and customization. Second would be accessibility, so making it easier for patients to book appointments, access to their medical records, receiving timely reminders about their next appointments, their next checkups, and also giving easy access to consult with a medical professional. The third one would be engagements, right? So these are technologies that help drive proactive engagements, keeping patients informed, actively involved in their health journey through educational resources, wellness tips, and interactive platforms. And then the last would be efficiency. So these tools actually help streamline efficiency by directly translating to a more positive, less frustrating, and more human-centered patient experience. When patients experience efficiency and ease, their satisfaction increases and the likelihood of remaining with the provider or adhering to a treatment plan dramatically improves. Okay, so I'm just gonna touch into our approach at Perkele when it comes to these tools, whereby we built at least 3 sets of products which were meant to combat, which was meant to combat churn, right? So basically at Perkele, we not just observers of this transformation, right? We act as participants, passionate in harnessing the power of CX tools within the healthcare industry. For instance, maybe speaking about the first app, which is, okay, before I get into that. So pretty much we built an ecosystem where medical providers can engage directly with patients, where patients can use a platform where they can get easy access into the medical records, also easy access to engaging with the doctor. And then we've actually tried to make it as engaging as possible, where we've utilized even gamification just to basically encourage the patients. I'll speak for myself, like my attention span is quite low, but when it comes to visualization, having to watch like animation or playing games, this is how you learn better. So we basically created these leaderboards for patients, so they can just basically be encouraged to take care of their health. And we've got quite a bit on our roadmap as well, like integrating to the smartwatch, where it gives you reminders on taking care of your steps and whatsoever. So this is basically the first part of it. Second part is for medical practitioners. So same companies that are in our space, it's always been more about the healthcare provider, like a simple, what we call it, a patient management system. But what we did is we wanted to build an entire ecosystem which technology that's not only for the doctor, but also for the patients as well to engage. So complementing this is Perkele Pro, which is our robust platform specifically tailored to healthcare providers. So it equips clinics, medical practices, and so on, and spas, wellness brands with powerful tools to streamline patient management, enhancing communication capabilities, and basically getting rid of any administrative efficiency. So by simplifying complex tasks for healthcare providers, such as appointment scheduling, clinical notes, record keeping, we basically allow them to focus more on the patients while basically taking care of the day-to-day operations. Earlier on, I spoke about chatbots as well, being a tool, a CX tool. So we've recently introduced one about 2 months ago, a chatbot called Fleming AI. So this is pretty much a medical intelligence assistant trained in over 1,000 medical cases. So it serves general users by answering health questions. I also use it as well when I've got like a hangover that's going way too much. So it basically does give you like some pretty good responses, preventative care. Literally, if you wanna, so it's basically substituting Google, right? So if you want to basically give, even if there's some medication that you are not sure about, it will tell you what the what's this word I'm looking for? Like, not the diagnosis, like the mission. Okay, but basically like the medication, if what side effects, that's the one that I was looking. Thanks. Yeah, so that is basically that. Again, all in all here, the whole idea is to take a patient-centric design where we really care about the service, really care about enhancing the experience of the patients. So like I said, I've been in a customer success background prior to my career for like 8 years, and I've always been like customer facing and customer centric. So it just took me finding a geek who can basically develop technology. And yeah, I then basically translated all this, the concept, the ideas, into how we can actually use it as, how we can use technology tools in enhancing service. Okay, I've already spoken into this. Maybe just one more thing to add is that with the AI, Fleming AI, we've developed it with 3 modes. So the first is for general users, someone like myself. The second one is for healthcare professionals. So it helps them supports them with clinical decision making, with rapid access to insights, research, and diagnostic assistance. So even the responses that it gives for healthcare professionals, it uses even, I'd say, more technical words or more language that pretty much they would understand. And then as of recent, which was quite an interesting one, is students in KZN, UKZN, pretty healthcare medical students are using it to prepare for their exams and basically their tests and so on. So once we started seeing that we were getting a lot of users who were students, then we actually fully developed the student mode, which can also help them like sort of analyze their textbooks and get information faster. Okay, so as we look into the future, the strategic integration of CX technologies is not merely an option. It's not an option, but an undeniable necessity for any health, not even just healthcare, but any business in general, right? So I would basically urge all of you in your respective roles to start considering using technology, whether you're a frontline customer service professional, healthcare administrator, or policymaker, to champion the adoption of these forward-thinking strategies, right? We need to start looking at technology as a tool that basically helps us, get to our clients faster, be able to assist them faster, and just basically making it easy for them to engage with your business. Right, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Mpumelo Lotembe. Let's give him another round of applause, please. Yes, every speaker, it's our culture. Please receive your beautiful package, Mr. Mpumelelo. We are really appreciate and we are honored by your presence here in Botswana. Yeah, Makwaba thinking about Botswana, but we are Botswana. So we are very happy. Let's give him another round of applause, please. Nyarvaya international, like it's like la one room who busy to all right. Yes. No, I thought there were questions. Oh yes. Okay, I think in the interest of time, let me give other speakers some time to present on their presentations, and then from there we do the questions. Again, yes, because yes, and then yes, thank you so much, and yes, I believe we were very attentive, and I love the fact that he mentioned that they are using technology to enhance services. Hence why it is very important that we keep up with the trends. If technology is here, let's use technology to enhance our services. The AI law is already here. How best can we use it? If it's doing good, yes, let's take the opportunity and use it to our level best. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. So thank you, Miss Olivia Unopantoy, who is the head of department and sustainable tourism fellow from Butu University, to come and give us the customer service with impact for tourism growth. Ooh, let's give her another round of applause, please. Let's give her a round for Mutwa Mema. Viva Mutwa Viva! No, Dr. Murisori, I'm going to go. But they should be more than 5 hours. Thank you.
While we're buying time for me to connect, judging from what I'm wearing, where do I come from? Almost. Kalanga area. So I wanted to represent today. Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. I was planning to give you a lecture on service excellence and what it means when it comes to tourism. Unfortunately, I don't have that much time. So I'm going to try to be as creative as possible. And then I'm going to jump on where Mpululelo left off. He was talking about technology, right? So technology, customer service excellence, where are we today? Nowadays, we're dealing with a customer called the 21st century customer. And what is the 21st century customer, right? I'm asking you a question, and so let's just try and just see for Harare 21st century customer. There's no wrong or right answer. Yes, ma'am.
I want to believe it's a sophisticated customer, one who knows what they want.
One who knows what they want, yes. Why else, sir? Why did you look the other way? The great doctor? Why else?
But I think it's essentially someone who's looking for new services within a system whose framework is a bit behind. So they're trailblazers basically.
So they're basically trailblazers in their own right? So one more answer and then I'll move on. Yes, sir. Well informed. Very much so, I get it. So the 21st century customer is that customer where they are exposed to technology, right? They are well informed. They know what it is. What I'm going to speak about doesn't necessarily match what's on the screen. So they are well informed with what they want and what they know, and it's because they are in touch with technology. Technology is at the palm of their hands. There was somebody that said something about reviews earlier on. Within 5 minutes, game over, right? So now we've got this issue in Botswana where tourism is considered one of these industries that is going to diversify our economy, right? So it is the second highest employer after government, right? Second highest employer after government. People usually look at me funny when I when I say that, but yes, the numbers do say, right? So this means that there's a lot of work that we need to do. This second highest employer should diversify more so that it contributes more to the GDP of the country. Are we together? So that means we've got a lot of work to do, and some of that work that we have to do is a lot of people often complain about our service as Botswana, right? Our service kind of sucks a little bit, unfortunately. Where you get somewhere and you're trying to have a conversation with the receptionist or so, and they're still like posing, and it happens, and it's happened to a lot of us. So those are some of the issues we deal with, and some of those issues can take away potential clients. They can bruise our reputation to some extent. So before I came to give this presentation, I was away for about a month where I was training people in rural Botswana, right? That are in these high-end tourism establishments. So now we can imagine, those are the bread and butter, tourism in the country, right? So how are those people supposed to behave, or how are they supposed to treat their clients in order for them to keep on maintaining those high standards? So there's something that I would like to share with you that's called unreasonable service, right? And that is what those high-end tourism entities teach their staff, to give unreasonable service. What is unreasonable? Unreasonable in a general context would be something that's not very nice, but unreasonable in this case is something that it just goes beyond you reasoning. You are left with wow in your mouth here. So that is the service works in these high-end tourism entities, and it comes from just going the extra mile, and it is something that maybe originated within the hospitality industry. We do know that tourism and hospitality are not the same thing, even though they're related, right? So it originates from hospitality, and unreasonable service is where you go above and beyond to make sure that the person you are being hospitable to is all of their needs are taken care of. And it goes to all of those other issues that a previous presenter spoke about. They spoke about empathy. They spoke about being thorough in everything that we do. They spoke about us being knowledgeable to some extent. So if you provide unreasonable service, for example, you are a Motswana child from Mosojane like myself, and a tourist comes from Greenwich or Greenland. You've never been to Greenland before, but you work for a 5-star establishment. So what are you going to do? In order for you to provide that unreasonable service, you yourself have to grow yourself as an individual. And as much as organizations that we work for need to grow us as individuals, but as individuals as well, we need to also have that bit of hunger to grow ourselves and to understand further how the world works and what means what. So it makes you sort of fit in, right, into that growing model. And then obviously, not obviously, but when you are trained at work, it's also an add-on, because you can add on to your workplace and say, but did you know that it works this way and such and such. So unreasonable service touches on many aspects of maybe individual growth, as well as perhaps the growth of the organization itself in going above and beyond. And then also focusing on feelings of your customers. what would you like to have today? Or what do you feel like having today? Did you love how the ice cream tasted? I don't know what you would have served at that time, but just being more in touch with your clients and stuff like that, that makes it work. In terms of being or providing personalized services, doing research about your client before they actually come, right? And then they didn't tell anybody, but you did research, and the wife loves elephants, and then you have a little elephant figurine on the bed, and then they're like, wow, this place is amazing. That orchestrated, this place is amazing, is unreasonable customer service. So there's a lot that we need to learn about going that extra mile to make us more relevant as service providers within the tourism industry, right? What did I want to touch on? The last one. Yes. So knowing your customers is very, very, very important as well. And doing research, as I said before. But then also, there's something that somebody said about, what's it called? The customer's always right. And nope, the customer's not always right. Correct, right? But you as a service provider have to provide service excellence, which will cater for both the customer and yourself. Because now it's not self-centered, but it's centered around all of us, or all of us who are here for this particular purpose, right? So within an organization, or the organization's DNA should take care of the client itself and you yourself as the client service provider. So it's like a relationship that should not be disturbed. And we need to, what else? We need to all sing from the same hymn book from an organization. For example, the same thing the CEO says is the same thing the groundsman is going to say. So just giving you an example of how it works, maybe in safari tourism, right? You pay 76,000 pula per night. And what do you expect? You expect to walk on diamonds, right? So in that case, from your driver to the lady who cleans your room, to whoever, means that, I thought that signal was for me at the back, sorry, means that they need to treat you a certain way, right? And this treating you a certain way also means that as much as there are rules and regulations of how we do things, but sometimes we have to go above and beyond in order for us to satisfy our clients' needs. I wish I had more time, but anyway, the last one that I wanted to touch on, right, and this is now looking at perhaps the role of Bobs and why it's important to have standards and such and such and such. So now within tourism and hospitality as well, it's very, very critical to have standards, because we're not just going to say, oh no, there's a bed over there and yeah, just go eat such and such a thing, there's this and there's that. One of my colleagues is here, she's sitting over there, right, on the 1, 2, 3, 4th lane with the white shirt. Ubidua Chef Bayan. She's a professional chef. So if I was to ask her to come and stand here and talk about the standards that they have to follow as chefs, we're going to spend maybe 3 weeks here, right? Because it's very complex, and it's very sensitive, and it has to do with people's health and such and such and such. A bed is not just made the way a bed should be made at home, or the way we think a bed should be made at home, and such and such and such. Therefore, you find that there are standards of operation that are used to guide the tourism and hospitality industry. In some hotels, because we are growing in Botswana, some guest houses, some hotels, some may have standards of operation, some may not. But just an example of how strict it can be in a functioning hotel, you can find that they will have 1,000-something standards of operation. And how does the housemaid know all of these standards of operation, so that we can provide all of that service that the person will feel like they're walking on diamonds. So those are some of the complexities of service excellence within tourism and hospitality, and I hope that I've covered as much as is needed. Thank you very much.
Wait for the package, my lady. It is very important. Yeah, thank you so much, Mentoy. Yes, I believe, yes, I'm going to yes, talking about the excellent service indeed. And I believe, I wish we had a so that she can lecture us. It was interesting indeed, isn't it? Oh, it was so beautiful indeed. And like she also mentioned that we need to have the hunger to develop ourselves. We need to have the hunger to learn new things. Yeah? We need to keep up with the trends again and again. I can get because I don't have a Facebook page, we don't have Instagram, we don't have TikTok. And I'm like, how do we survive in this? So we need to keep up with the pattern, business, landscape, how is everything unfolding. Yes, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, our other speaker, Mr. Kenneth Sitimela, who is the founder and MD from Leverage Point. Yes, he will be presenting on unlocking efficiency and profitability, the benefits of ERP, enterprise resource planning, and CRM, customer relationship management systems for SMEs. Please, and before that, let me also quickly give you a reminder that I believe when you came in, you made sure to register yourself as well as writing down your email. Because after here, so that we use those emails to send the magazines. Again, we need to give you the magazines again, the magazine of today. So we'll make sure that we send the magazines immediately after this beautiful event. But it can nakamuso again. So kamuso helala utaka mapakela utauka magazine uzana phone. All right. Thank you so much. Good message. All right. Thank you so much. Let's welcome Mr. Sitimela into the podium.
I have the most unenviable position where I have to be between people and their lunch. But we must somehow find joy in the conversation, and hopefully our people will not want to go for lunch. I'm gonna make it very short, and hopefully get to share more. I think I'm purposefully becoming intentional about those beautiful moments that we have as a country, to recognize them and share them, and indeed make a lot of effort about telling the world who we are. And I think that is something that we must intentionally do. I've traveled a little bit around Africa, and the Africa that we get told about in many other countries is not what we then see when you compare with what we have back home. And I think that we need to be intentional to tell people about who we are what people will find when they come home. And I think that becomes quite important in terms of sharing the moments, telling the beautiful stories that we have about our athletes, about our democracy, about the tourism sector, and about the many interactions that we have as Botswana. I think that we have the most beautiful humanity when you travel across the entire globe. We are very hospitable, we are very approachable, and quite caring and loving. And I think we need to translate these onto the digital platforms, because most of the times that's how people interact with us as a country. So we need to be intentional about doing that. Despite our frustrations amongst many things that where work is concerned, we need to go on the digital platforms and show people something different about who we are. My name is Kenneth Sitimela, and a couple of years back I founded a company called Leverage Point, and we don't do anything other than just building software. Nothing else. We don't, I always tell people that we don't know how to fix computers, we know how to program them. And we try to show difference in terms of that. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do. Mostly, there we are. Mostly, like I'm saying, we build software solutions for so many different people. Locally, we are growing into the regional space in terms of what we are doing around the services that we provide. We've built a software solution called Business Point. It's an ERP software solution. I think later on, people will share more information about it in terms of what it does. But like I said, I have the most unenviable position of being between people and their lunch. Nonetheless, when you call a call center, the first thing that happens is somebody asks you for something that identifies you, your OMAN number, your banking number, or even your cell phone number. And it's on the basis of identifying you that they would then want to interact with yourself. And in that interaction, there is history of yourself as a customer to this particular institution. And that is primarily on the basis of a customer relationship management system, right? Oh, hello, you prefer the third floor this year, or you want us to take you to the fourth floor. They are doing all of that on the basis of data that they recorded about you when they first interacted with you, right? Or when you leave a hotel, you immediately receive an email asking for your satisfaction survey. Something immediately pops in, and we get information about yourself. Are you happy with the service? They always say feedback is a gift. So we must get feedback, and we must also give feedback, because it's on the basis of that that we can then be able to improve on the services. I don't want to go onto the nitty-gritties, but I want you to be aware of what an ERP is, Enterprise Resource Planning System, right? These are systems that automate all of the different processes in an organization. And the overall intention is to make sure that each and every aspect of the organization is paperless, basically. And the most important thing, as some of you are here, you are ERP users, and you only do that in finance, in HR, in so many facets of an organization. And the whole idea, whenever you're collecting the data, is to be able to assist you in terms of managing the day-to-day processes, having data at the palm of your hand and being able to make decisions, right? Okay. And then we have CRMs. Like I said, these are platforms that are assisting us to be more informed. A lot of times when you go to businesses for Botswana, or even government services, we write on a book. The following year, 3 months down the line, we look for another book. Tomorrow we go to supplies for another book, right? It's typical. And the most unfortunate thing is what we do not appreciate about what we are collecting is exactly what informs profitability of our businesses, opportunities for enhancements, and most importantly, customer relationship management. You cannot falter when you are doing everything using a CRM to record, to appreciate the data, and to give yourself an opportunity to go back onto that data and appreciate the trends in relation to the data that you have collected. So we must intentionally make sure that we are recording, we are going back to that data to double check what the data is saying in relation to our businesses. You'll be so surprised. A lot of us here have those products, the accounts where the bank will tell you that, no, you can put in 500 pula every month. You will only withdraw once in 3 months. You know such product? How do you think such product came about? It came on the basis of data. I hope there are no banking people here. To the bank. The bank knows that we are not disciplined enough to not come back for that money, right? So they know 3 months is a very long time. We put 300. After 6 months, you withdraw 5 times. And every time when you are withdrawing, they give you an opportunity to withdraw once, and the rest of the other 4, it's profit for them, right? So how did they come up with that product? It was on the basis of understanding data. They know that Botswana don't have the discipline of putting money in an account and waiting for another 3 months, right? Equally, on what we are doing as businesses, we also collect data. But it is much better when we collect it on automated systems. Like I said, I hope what I'm saying is making people not worry about their lunch. Okay. And the importance of ERPs, like I did say, is to focus on your internal operations in terms of automating and optimizing. You can only do that provided you are tracking the data. How many customers are coming in? What is it that they're coming to do? Where did I hear about this customer? Where did the customer hear about me? So that I can go and maximize on such platform in terms of marketing. And the platforms that I'm not utilizing, I can go and improve a lot. But what do? We record, I heard about this on the newspaper, on radio, but we never sit down and appreciate the importance of this data that we are collecting. So this becomes quite important in terms of the reason why we are collecting the data to optimize operations. And the second part is where we now want to be more customer oriented in terms of ensuring that what I am providing to customer A is different from customer B, because each one of these people are unique in their own sense. They want preferential treatment, and preferential treatment can only be possible when I understand what it is that I'm providing to this particular person. I'm sure it's always nice when I receive a happy birthday message from Orange, from so many of all of these people. How do they do it? Nobody sits and writes you a text. Systems are taking care of such. Why? Why? Please remember me. That is the basic reason why a text message comes into your phone. Please remember me. Nothing else. It's a selling point, right? Remember that you've come to me, you've consumed the service, and the message pops in your message. Please remember that we exist. That's the only reason why the message comes on to and say happy birthday on that day. And you will be so happy that I received a message from Leverage Point. Automated systems, right? Okay. And the fact that we want to make sure that there is integration of data for purposes of controls, reducing of theft, and ensuring that one part of the business is fully aware of what the other part is doing. So you find that in hotels, in guest houses, in butcheries, and so many other parts of the businesses that we are doing. It's quite important to make sure that the left hand knows what the right hand is doing. And that can only be possible with integrated systems. Okay, I just spoke about the lack of integration. You find that in many institutions, there are so many different footprints of digital systems available. And we just want to make sure that that is not the case when you are adopting and utilizing a system. Manual tasks, I think it's tiring, and people can't put effort on becoming strategic when they have to spend so much time writing, right? But when they're looking at data and looking at the patterns and looking at the trends, it obviously automatically makes you ask the right questions. Why am I seeing a dip here? Why am I seeing a spike here? Those are the questions that you now ask. But you can imagine if you have to be opening a book and trying to figure out those trends. Quite impossible. And the inconsistencies. Last year I reported that I had 300 visitors. And when I'm asked again about last year's figures, now it's 270. The data disappeared. Why? Exactly. Okay, I am now moving to the interesting parts about the importance of automating repetitive tasks, where from the onset I get in a system, I open a file for this particular customer, I'm able to provide them with a quotation, with an invoice, all the way to them doing a goods received note and many others in between. Why is it important for me to track how many quotations I've given to him? Why is he consistently coming to me and asking for quotations and not turning those quotations into sales? What is the problem, right? So those are fundamental questions that you can then ask when you have data in front of you. But it's even beautiful when they have asked for a quote, and within the system you are able to then turn it and make it into a sales document. You are able to track the turnaround times of when somebody is able to ask for this. You know the patterns of your customers. How often do they come to me? When do they come to me? How can I probe them and ask them whether we should put together a package for them? You already can anticipate what you can expect from them, right? And you have this sort of experiences. Can you imagine if these experiences are automated? Can you imagine how beautiful it would be for the medical doctors to be able to know from the onset, this person has an allergy of 1, 2, 3, 4, from systems that we are collecting data from. And I did highlight on the importance of strategic focus when we are now not doing rudimentary work of writing, but interrogating the data and looking at such. And obviously the enhancement and as far as real-time data obviously helps in terms of decision making. When the data is there, you know what to do. The data informs the type of decisions that must be made. And you respond to market changes. In the tourism sector, you know the highs and the lows in terms of the seasons. And you automatically know, even when you are looking at your data in terms of when people are coming, how you can prepare for that, when you should increase your staff, when you should reduce it. You make decisions on the basis of data. So I did say that we've built a software solution called Business Point, and it's an ERP software solution. I think after lunch you will get more pamphlets about the solution in terms of what it offers. But the point of it is to automate a lot of your key processes and ensure that this become possible. We are using what is called software as a service in terms of the implementation of this, and we are basically targeting small businesses in terms of ensuring that they are automating their key processes. Okay, one last aspect before I let people really go and have their refreshments. Really, I promise. I think this becomes interesting when you are really collecting data. If you are not collecting data and still doing it in the manual, no, it doesn't work. So we are currently doing a solution that is basically for the tourism sector to basically assist in terms of reporting and having to see trends around such data. I just want you to appreciate what happens when you have data, right? Okay. So every year, tourism generates statistics together with tourism. They generate some documents across different sectors. Statistics does, I think, 15 to 20 different sectors. And it's a 38-page document. Every year they do that, right? So what we've basically done with that is to basically take the same data and translate it. Oh, sorry, now I'm talking alone. Okay, right. Okay, so we've basically taken the same data, because the data is there, and translated it into graphical representation, right? So even with your businesses, right? When you intentionally collect data, the day when you have to hand over to your kids, they will know and tell the story on the basis of data, right? I'm certain that a lot of business owners that are here, that's exactly what they have in their minds. That one day, but you can't give them those Acliva files. You must give them. It's even difficult to say the words, right? It's even difficult to say the words. When there is data, like I'm saying, there's so much that you can be able to do. You can come and interrogate and appreciate what is happening in respect of the trends. You can go and look at the years in terms of what is happening around the years and play around with all of this. You can go and see the arrival statistics in terms of the years and target the Gen Zs and say these are the sort of platforms where we must sell and promote Botswana tourism. We can go and see what is happening around our heritage sites. So this is something that we are playing around with. Like I said, we do quite a lot of work around software development. We don't know how to fix computers, we know how to program them. You've been a lovely audience. I'm sorry for coming in between your lunch. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stimela. Let's give him a round of applause, please. Yes, ma. Oh yes, gift hela. Rata sakakana. Sindisa. My queen kyo horokile. Kindly, kachwe. Please very appreciate. All right. Kana ke tsamaiso. Ke culture ba gaetso. Something keep up with the culture. Thank you so much, my leader. And yes, thank you so much for the beautiful presentation. And like he mentioned, I've but like he mentioned just briefly, yes, let's be strategic in our businesses. Let us respond to the market like he mentioned. Yes, ebe thulaganya re ipakanya ba gaetsho re go dikomponents tsa rona re itsheka-tsheke re tlhola gore botsogo jwa rona re ga kae a kere All right. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. With that being said, no good noa. Bakai vanolevele. Vanolevele kavangan. Wow, that's beautiful. Vanolevele kakwas. No good. No good kakwas. Porque sarga yis. Ya kata bila rabu lah. Bakai bas khalar. Hawayo. Bas khalar hawayo. Lepas kayu, lepas nak kira orang television ralat sama, ralat fufela. Yes, halah aku semula kayak ni sekolah kari, bola sekolah kari, hancur jalan bola mau kayu buat kamatku, kita semua ya, kita semua senar mana, kan tak kasih sesar apa kayu, sibuk senar, tapi sensi, kita naro language, yes, kita naro language, apa kali bebas soalnya, apa kali. So yes, that's beautiful, and it is a beautiful, beautiful new development. And it's a welcome development, and I believe it even in our services. Yes, we are different companies here. It's like it's our hands on the dia customer. Hama dia hedi dia halo kasnalo na malas hali zam tu dan sar so kita agar mengakat dengan arta incorporate those is a galaka there's a cow as well as so necessary sekhalakar burung kamu menyana ola rihes sekhalakar ye. If you want to do with the Chakalagar language, press 1. I get it. Yeah, inclusivity. I get it. All right. Then we say, we are respect So with that being said, yes, let us head to lunch. And let us make sure that exactly as 20 past 2. Yes, 20 past 2 we are back. I get it. Yes, 20 past 2, let's make sure that we catch up. Let us network, let us talk business. Yes, let's get a tabaco Zamihalaro, Mirna Ralegiwa. Okay, Anglipi. I don't let you into tell. Hey, so it's gonna be another operator 24 hours. Eh, Natakalo Nela, Makana Kunsel. 7329. Sandy Penal Quali, gather Ruin Gana 7329. 7233. Guys, you have to go to Hamba. Go on, I could call us Kalasama. Robana go home. Go bizarre. Hey, Waka. Hey, I will get 7329 7233. 7329 7233. Kyo no Moria Gayo or Gan Kalamaragan at Facebook mod what Rokanamo. Yes. All right, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I love you so very much. You have been a beautiful audience. All right, thank you. Have a lovely afternoon. Sure.
Introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Pomele Lutembe, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Perkele. My name is Pomele Lutembe, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Perkele, an AI health tech startup based out in South Africa, Johannesburg. I'm also a customer success manager, have been in the role for a couple of years, which actually inspired me to start Perkele by building technology that helps reduce churn. So I'm at the Botswana Customer Service Week, and my topic today was reducing churn, customer churn, and leveraging customer success technologies. I spoke about the importance of this, why as much as reducing churn, as much as churn is revenue loss for hospitals and clinics, but this is more impactful for patients, because if patients don't see the need of going to see their doctor because they had bad customer service, then they basically get discouraged to take care of themselves and follow through their treatment plans. It was an exciting time. It was an exciting topic for me. This is basically a topic that is close to my heart. And it was actually exciting listening to other professionals as well speak about customer service.